Call meeting to order. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and one nation, indivisible.
Councilwoman Goldberg? Here. Councilman Pagan?
Here.
Councilwoman G? Councilman Katz?
Mike's not on.
Deputy Mayor Belcher? Here. Deputy Mayor Organ? Here. Mayor Schwartz?
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 300-2025, sending a copy to the newspapers officially designated for 2025/6 by the way of resolution number 2-2025, filing a copy in the Township Clerk's office and posting it on the municipal building bulletin board. And the mayor hereby directs that the statement be included in the minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Clerk. Well, welcome everyone to the January 6, 2025 open session meeting of the Township. The Township Administration President of tonight's meeting are Jacqueline Hashman, our Township Manager, Doug Roussillon, our Township Clerk, Kristen DeNorci, our Deputy Township Clerk, our Scott Solomon, our Township Attorney, Ron Goodman, our Volunteer Cable Master. I do not see Michael Ash. Oh, that's not Michael Ash. Michael Ash is on Zoom, our Redevelopment Attorney, Golda McMillan, our Township Planner, who many of you may have not yet met. Golda, welcome. And our upcoming events and council meetings. For the public's information, we are currently holding a hybrid format meeting. We have people in person and on Zoom. If our Wi-Fi at the municipal building has an issue where the Zoom meeting drops, we will aim to retrieve the connection and continue the meeting. If you haven't yet, please sign up for our website for the updates and the township alerts. The next regular council meeting will be on Tuesday, January 27th, starting at 6:30 p.m. with public portion beginning at 8 p.m. The municipal offices will be closed Monday, January 19th, 2026 for MLK Day. At this time, I'd like to have a moment of silence for Ed Mulligan. Ed was a longtime Teaneck resident and a Board of Adjustment member for decades. Thank you. The council met in closed session and discussed the following: advisory board interviews, personnel, contracts, zoning, affordable housing, legal issues and our opinions regarding any items on the open session agenda, litigation updates, and Oprah. And with that, we will get started. First up is going right into work session items. A miscellaneous, old business, new business, communications, committee reports by council liaison. No meetings. Okay. Council listed items. The first one, Monuments Committee, with our long agenda tonight. I'd like to push that off unless you have any objection. We haven't done anything on that yet. Okay. Public Decorum Task Force, council members Goldberg and Pagan. Mike, please.
Sorry about that. So after the last meeting, I reached out to the attorney. I'm sorry, my notes are just being weird. Sorry. And I know that there's a model ordinance in New Jersey, and my thought was if we could get 3 of us to work with the attorney to review options, residents should have an idea of what's coming what's expected when they come to a council meeting. I've literally been told that people turn off our meetings on the TV, which is not really okay. So there is a New Jersey model ordinance. I don't know if that's the right thing for us, but I do think our attorney should be involved in this. This is not an abnormal thing, but we have, I think, 3 things in our code right now related to decorum. So I just would like us to review it and then have the task force come back to council. Happy to work with anyone on this. I just do want to make sure that the attorney's there.
I find it a little odd that someone turns on the council meeting and then turns off the council meeting. If you can maybe email out what you're referring to with other towns so we can take a look at it and come back. I personally think the quorum starts on the dais. It starts with us and how we speak to each other and how we treat each other. And then of course, council people and members in the public see that. So I'm not looking forward to their task force right now, though I'm interested in seeing whatever other town has, whatever that is. Gladly happy to take a look at that.
If it helps, Mr. Mayor, I don't mind being on that task force.
Yeah, it could be, but I'd rather just see what we're talking about first. I think that's just my opinion. If I want to see this, what these other
Scott, just so you know, the New Jersey League of Municipalities has some draft ordinances for this such thing. Thank you.
Yeah, I just think that people, we should have some idea, and maybe we don't change anything, maybe we do, but there's nothing wrong with, council members reviewing this to come back formally, and this is how we would do it. I actually was thinking potentially, Councilwoman G, if ABCR maybe wanted to be involved in this, I think it's kind of right up their alley. I don't know what you thought of that.
I mean, I can bring it up to them and see if there's interest.
Yeah, just a thought, but I just think that, I mean, we've had a lot over the years. We've had people give mayors the finger. We should have some standard, and I think we haven't had our code updated in a while, and I think residents should have an idea of what's expected. This is not abnormal, so I would like to see if everyone's okay with, anyone wants to.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think if we're going to do a public decorum task force, I think we should also talk about code of conduct for all of us as well, especially on, not even just here, but on social media. I think would be something that would be very helpful. I think what happens here, I think, is a spillover from what's going on social media. So I think these are two things should be addressed together.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor?
Scott, can you send a report to full council and we can discuss from there?
Not a problem.
Yeah, I would also agree that I think that decorum begins with us on a personal, individual level. As leaders, that we are cognizant of what we post and what we publish. And it begins with each one of us individually, and we do not need a policy to govern decorum.
Okay, so let's send that out. I think that's the next steps I'm gonna hear. Increasing snow tickets. It's my annual motion, looking to increase our $100 tickets to $200 for cars that remain parked on the streets in the snowstorm. I have two. Oh, is that a yes? Or
No. Two questions for
So,
you,
yes,
Mr.
we'll
Mayor.
go there.
No,
Deputy
two
Mayor
questions.
after you.
Two
Yes.
questions, just because the number seems kind of high.
Very.
Do we know, and this is a question I like to ask about a lot of other things, what other towns are charging? And is there any state law on record limiting how much we can actually charge?
So
I can talk about the state.
I was actually saying Bergenfield doesn't allow parking at night to begin with, which is always helpful.
I can talk about this, the limit. There is a statewide limit overall for general penalties that we can assess, which is $2,000 or up to 30 days of jail.
Wow.
It's actually the 30 days of jail. It's a.
That'll work. That'll work.
Let me be clear, it is up to the discretion of the judge in certain instances. That's not something we can mandate. But that is the maximum, as a general rule, that's the maximum penalty. So anything up there is within the council discretion.
Interesting.
Yeah, those numbers are very high. I have, however, Mr. Mayor, a big challenge in increasing the ticket price of, in light of the fact that I think that a lot of residents, number one, may not understand that we do have an ordinance that requires that they move their cars during inclement weather. And also that they are a little concerned about actually accessing their cars. I think it may even be an issue in many instances where people feel safe knowing that their cars are nearby during inclement weather. So I'm a little hesitant to increase that ticket price because I feel as if, we may potentially do a better job of maybe explaining the ordinance to our residents.
Deputy Mayor?
So I understand your frustration because you get the majority of the complaints when streets aren't plowed because cars are left. But I think when it comes to this, there are two groups of residents. There are those that just don't realize they need to move their car and it's a mistake. And I think $100 once is enough of a deterrent for them. And then I think there's the group that really just don't care and leave their cars there anyway. And I would hate to hurt the first group out of frustration for the second group. So I'm okay with leaving it where it is.
Yep, Mr. Gatz? And
I agree with all the speakers tonight. I understand the frustration, especially as driving an ambulance and having to stop because you can't get through with the snow, and certainly the emergency vehicles and the plows. But with that said, I think $100 is a pretty painful reminder, and I would keep it at where it is.
any comment?
Agreed.
Okay, so it doesn't look like it passes. If we can just give the street addresses to DPW, we're not going to plow their streets. Okay, next. Crossroads Affordable Housing Settlements, Councilwoman Goldberg.
Mike. I really just, I know it was late, but I did send this to the attorneys actually a while ago. But there was a lot of changes on the agenda. I think, I have a lot of concerns with what was in the agenda. So I proposed changes. So I'm asking that we make the motion to move it to the consent agenda, hear from our community
Second.
and see what's said. We do have to vote on a settlement tonight. That is a thing. But I have a lot of concerns about the protection for the, specifically the Bell Avenue neighbors in the current version, which is basically the bulk of the changes in what I did. And I'm just asking that we move it to the consent agenda to hear from the residents.
Second.
Mr. Attorney. Sorry, I think we're just to explain what we already have on the consent agenda, a settlement, and Councilman Goldberg's asking for a motion to move a second one. Is that?
Well, one thing I'm not sure about is if this is more than one. I'm sorry, Councilman Goldberg, is it the one resolution you want to move? Okay, so we have, and I'm going to go through this in more detail. We have resolutions that are on the agenda now, authorizing the settlement agreements. I think the motion then would be to add a second one on that and consider.
So you're going to be discussing, you're saying under attorney report?
Yeah, I was going to explain there's a lot of resolutions on here related to it, so I was going to walk through all
Okay.
that, but that's a separate thing then, I guess.
And that's going to be under, what I'm saying, what are you discussing?
I was going to do that under the township attorney's report.
Fine, so that's coming up right after this anyway,
Yeah.
so just continue there and see where it goes.
Well,
Is there a motion on the
yeah,
table?
there's a motion. and a
Okay, so
second,
let's call a
yeah.
roll call.
Wait,
Yes?
Before we vote on the motion, can you just explain for the public's, the difference between the two?
Yeah, so the gist is, first of all, the affordable housing settlement that we approved last meeting was at 15%. It was not specific. Crossroads should not have a special 15%. They don't have anything in their settlement agreement that says that they get 15%. So in honor of our fair share agreement that we just did to not lose compliance, I moved that to 20%, which is also an extra more units for potential Teaneck residents. But the biggest piece is the Bell Avenue drainage. Right now on this, it's, I'll just go right here. It's not mandatory. And my biggest concerns is that it's proposed, there's negotiations later, and we owe it to our residents to make sure that we have to protect them, and this is their houses, their lives, and we promised them protection, and they're not getting it in this. And that's my biggest concern. Right now, it's negotiations later. If it's a public benefit, it can be a financial analysis later. And my biggest ask is that, again, I want to move it and see what they say, but the Bell Avenue neighbors are not protected in this, in my very strong opinion.
Okay. But this is.
First of all,
Mike.
the whole idea, just to make it clear, that this is a settlement agreement. It is not a redevelopment plan. It is not a redevelopment agreement. It is not a site plan. The 2 points that my colleague has brought up is that we have exhaustively spoke to developers about a minimum of 20% set aside for affordable housing. And in fact, our redevelopment attorney, and he can confirm this, is that as the settlement agreement reads, it is a minimum of 15%, of which we are pushing. We always push for more. We always push for 20%. Even to the degree that the conversation I have had with the redevelopment attorney is that even if they don't want to do it 5% more for affordable, that he look into the ability to do 5% more for workforce housing or for senior housing. So those are things that are still active on the table that are being considered. The other issue is that when it comes to impact studies like drainage, environmental impact to schools, impact to traffic, impact to transportation. Those are not generally memorialized in a settlement agreement, but they come after the fact. We have the ability to impact those things or have a voice in those things when it comes to the redevelopment, a plan and redevelopment agreement, and certainly the site plan. For many of you that attend planning board meetings and you have heard site plan reviews, what are the things that we are talking about? We talk about the impact studies. We talk about drainage. We talk about impact in the environment or parking or traffic. So the point that I'm making is that what my colleague is suggesting is 100% right, but it doesn't come in the settlement agreement. It comes in the redevelopment plan and the redevelopment agreement.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, can you call the?
Can
Yeah,
I do one
sure.
more? The majority of this council has spent since our last meeting, our last scheduled meeting, working really hard on these settlement agreements, working with two attorneys all day. And it's really not appropriate for somebody to add a settlement agreement an hour before a meeting under the guise of protecting residents when we're all trying to protect residents and we're all trying to protect the members of the town. And there's nobody sitting up here who doesn't hurt for you every time that it rains. And there's nobody here who's not going to hold the developer to some kind of drainage issue. We've been working on that for a long time. To come out and say that is really not okay. And the other thing that we're trying to do here is make sure that we don't get the town embroiled in a lawsuit, because that would be the worst thing for everybody. So while it may appear like theatrics, and a no vote on this may offend some people, it is, in my opinion, and as someone who's been working on this since our last meeting, the best thing for the town right now.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
No.
Councilman Katz,
No.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
No.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
No.
Mayor Schwartz.
No. Proposed resolution recognizing MLK Day. Councilman Goldberg and Deputy Mayor Belcher. Go ahead, please.
I'll let Deputy Mayor Belcher
Fine.
do that.
Okay, so we just wanted to recognize Dr. Martin Luther King Day as a day that is very important to in our community. We want to ensure that our residents are aware of the many different events that are planned throughout. We encourage people to really come out to those events. We have an MLK birthday committee that does an exceptional job of bringing some real informative projects to our township. So super excited that we're in a position that we're able to recognize the 19th of January as a day that for many of us to come out and to enjoy many of the events that are being planned. I don't know, Councilwoman, do you want to read the resolution?
I was going to defer to you. I know that you had some changes I wanted to, like, if you want to do it, it's fine.
Okay, so in the package, there is a resolution that is presented. It really speaks to the fact that we as a body, a township, we will always acknowledge and recognize Dr. King's MLK Day as a day that we want our children to be informed and to be inclusive in terms of opportunities that are available throughout the township. So it is in your package. Certainly do take the time to look at it, to read it, because it is an exceptional opportunity for us to memorialize the day. If you'd like, I can certainly read it because it is in your package. I know that we've had a few updates in the package, but it's whereas Dr. Martin Luther King was a global moral leader, a Baptist minister, and Global Peace Prize recipient. whose life and work transformed the course of the American history and elevated the struggle of justice and equality worldwide. Whereas Dr. King's leadership in the civil rights movement advanced fundamental civil rights through nonviolent resistance, resulting in landmark achievements, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And we continue to talk about his life. And now, therefore, it be it resolved that the Township Council of the Township of Teaneck hereby officially observes Martin Luther King Jr. Day, honoring his enduring legacy as a champion of civil rights, human rights, and the inherent dignity of all humanity. Be it further resolved that the Township Council encourages residents, schools, faith institutions, community organizations, and businesses to commemorate this day through acts of service, learning, dialogue, and engagement that reflect Dr. King's vision of justice, equality, and beloved community. And be it further resolved that the Township of Teaneck reaffirms the commitment to standing against discrimination, hatred, and injustice in all forms, and to uphold policies and practices that promote fairness, inclusion, and opportunity for all who live, work, and visit in the township. Be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the official records of the Township of Teaneck and shared with the community as an expression of the township's respect for the life, legacy, and enduring moral leadership of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So that is our resolution.
And you'll make that motion?
Make a motion to accept?
Roll call, clerk, please.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ, Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Thank you very much. Proposed resolution recognizing Muslim Heritage Month, Councilman Goldberg and Deputy Mayor Belcher.
I'll defer to Deputy Mayor Belcher again.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, so we recognize that January is Muslim Heritage Month, and we just wanted to take an opportunity to recognize that. And we have a resolution for our colleagues to approve, and it reads as follows. Whereas the Township of Teaneck is proud to recognize the rich history, culture, and contribution of the Muslim community, and to designate the month of January as Muslim Heritage Month. And whereas Muslims are the world's second largest religious group with approximately 1.9 billion followers worldwide, representing nearly 1/4 of the global population, and approximately 3.4 million Muslims residing in the United States from diverse racial, ethnic, and cultural backgrounds. And whereas Muslims first arrived in North America alongside enslaved Africans, historians estimate that nearly 30% of enslaved Africans were Muslim, and their faith, resilience, and contributions played an important role in the early foundation of the United States, including military service and every major conflict beginning with the American Revolutionary War. Whereas Muslims have made significant contributions throughout history in fields including philosophy, mathematics, science, medicine, architecture, literature, music, education, public service, and the arts. Whereas Muslim Americans have made and continue to make significant contributions to the U.S. and to the state of New Jersey in business, education, public service, science, healthcare, the arts, and the military and civic, strengthening communities and advancing the shared values of our community. Whereas, therefore, are nearly 300,000 Muslim Americans in New Jersey, representing one of the largest Muslim American populations of any state in the nation, whose contributions help fortify the economy and enrich the diversity of the communities throughout the state, including the Township of Teaneck. And whereas the Muslim community is an integral part of the diverse fabric that makes up the Township of Teaneck and contributes meaningfully to its civic, cultural, educational, and interfaith life. And whereas Governor Phil Murphy signed a joint resolution approved by the Senate and General Assembly of the state of New Jersey designating the month of January of every year as Muslim Heritage Month. And whereas the Township of Teaneck affirms the commitment of equality, inclusion, and the dignity of all residents and calls upon the community to reject prejudice and bigotry in all forms while celebrating the diversity that strengthens our shared civic life. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Township of Teaneck, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, that the month of January is hereby recognized and designated as Muslim Heritage Month in the Township of Teaneck, and be it further resolved that the Township Council encourages all residents to observe this month by learning about, acknowledging, and celebrating the history, heritage, and contributions of Muslim Americans to the Township, the State of New Jersey, and to the United States. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be transmitted to the Township Clerk.
Thank you very much, Ms. Deputy Mayor. Roll call, clerk?
Yeah, first and second.
Oh, sorry, I'll make that motion.
Yeah, make a
Second.
motion that we,
That was a motion by Schwartz, second by Goldberg. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz, Deputy Mayor Belcher,
yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
and Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, and there are both an MLK event as well as Muslim heritage events coming up in the township, so please look out for them and go. We'll go to the Township Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council and Township residents. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everyone. I look forward to a successful year ahead working with everyone. Please be advised that at our next council meeting, our DPW Director will be in attendance to present an overview on recycling, tips on how to recycle properly, how the township is doing with recycling efforts, and a look ahead on how to improve our collection in 2026. PSC&G has completed most of the deliveries of the switchgear to the substation on Palisade Avenue. There will be some additional delivery dates, but overall the deliveries did go well. Winter storms. Please be advised that our most recent storm was declared as a snow emergency and all means of communication to township residents were utilized. Even with our timely messaging before and during the storm, over 600 snow tickets were issued. This makes our DPW's plowing efforts much more complicated. Please stay up to date with our township alerts, and more importantly, please remove your cars from the roadway when there is a snow emergency in effect. Several factors do impact our snow plowing efforts: high volume of equipment breakdowns, cars on the roadway, and uniqueness of each storm being snow, sleet, or mixed with rain. Nonetheless, our DPW remains committed to delivering the best service we can for safe township roadways. Snow shoveling assistance for seniors is available through the Teaneck High School Forum. Please contact them during regular school hours and do so as soon as possible. They do need to schedule a student that is in your area, and it is not guaranteed. A student volunteer must be available in your area in order to reserve the services once confirmed. The flyer is located on our website with contact information. Our 2025 composting year in review from April 2025 to November 2025 are as follows. 11,126 pounds of food waste was diverted, which is equal to saving 1.5 tons of waste from sitting in a landfill. As of now, we have 73 township residents participating in the program. Even though we launched April 2025, Teaneck still ranks among the top 3 municipalities in Bergen County for total waste diverted this year. The Teaneck Health Department is partnering with Holy Name Medical Center for a Walk to Wellness program. This will be a 12-week Couch to 5K wellness challenge. The program will kick off March 1st from Votee Park, and the details will be posted on our website this month. Pedestrian Safety Demo Project Update. After review of our survey, the thermofoil tape used for the demo project will be removed by the DPW. New delineators that our police department has will be placed at Queen Anne Road and Ayers Court to deter illegal parking and improve visibility of pedestrians. The Traffic Bureau will continue to monitor the area for pedestrian safety upgrades and considerations. Some grant updates. Over the course of 2025, Teaneck has secured $2,938,738.72 in grant funding through Millennium Strategies. A total of 26 grant applications were actually submitted. The township was awarded 3 grants in December of 2025. $30,000 from the Division of Highway Traffic Safety, $250,000 from Bergen County CDBG unprogrammed funds for replacement of the sanitary sewer main at Teaneck Road, Livingston Place, and Clinton Place. $900,000 was also awarded from NJDOT grant award for the Queen Anne Road Streetscape project. The details of this project are available in our recent press release available on our social media platforms. For some project updates, the Argonne Park tennis courts are officially open. We are awaiting some proposals for a paint repair because we did have some damage from a recent storm. The Belle Ave Bioswales, the contract was awarded to A-Tech Concrete Company, and the construction will start the first week of March. Brooks Park Exercise Station, the contract was awarded to develop builders, and the pre-construction meeting was held on December 30th, with construction due to start later this month. Sagamore Park improvements, the design is in the final review phase. Maple Avenue improvements, we are now working on some punch list items. The Phelps Park splash pad construction has started. Drainage connection is complete. Contractor will now start working on the water line and concrete pad. Palisades Avenue, West Tryon, and Galway Place improvements. Construction started in November. Concrete work is completed, and milling and paving will be scheduled for the spring. Livingston Place and Clinton Place main sewer line replacement. The bids were opened on December 30th. And the apparent lowest bidder is Matina and Son with a total bid of $367,500, and the award to the contract is forthcoming. I am also going to start working on our budget with our CFO, and in the next couple of weeks, I will be presenting the most responsible 2026 operating and capital budget to the council and public for review. That's all I have for you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Mr. Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, a couple things to get through here. I want to talk about affordable housing. There's a lot of things on the agenda. Some are confusing. I'm going to be asking the council to take some certain action regarding things that are on the agenda here. So first of all, the ordinance, the resolutions 11/2026. We'll come back to 12/2026, 11/2026, 32, 33, 34, 35. These are settlement agreements with the different objectors or different developers that have filed objections or challenges to our housing element that we've been engaged in litigation with for the past few months. Just like we resolved the part of the litigation with Fair Share at the last meeting, these resolutions are to resolve the litigation with the individual developers here. As the council is aware, this is something that we looked at doing at the last meeting at the same time as the Fair Share settlement agreement, but we decided, based on the council's request or guidance, to ask that it be tabled at that time, so we could do a couple things to these resolutions / settlement agreements. The primary thing that we did is, well, I guess the first thing is that we split out. There was what is now Resolution 12/2026. It was a combination settlement agreement with 4 different developers that is now being split out into settlement agreements, one for each of them. That way the council can provide their thoughts and input and votes on each of those individually. The second, more substantively, the changes that were made is that we pared them down significantly. We took out a lot of the details of things that are going to be later included in either redevelopment plans or the zoning or overlays and ordinances that will be coming back to the council. And really, I guess, as I said, we pared this back so it is exclusively just to settle the litigation, and then we can deal with all the details next. And that way we're not essentially rushing it. That way the public has more of an opportunity to comment on those specific provisions. So all these settlement agreements really are doing, or actually the only thing they're really binding the township to do is what we are essentially already required to do, which is adopt zoning for these properties by March 15th. They do include in there that we are to provide drafts of where appropriate, either the redevelopment plan or the zoning ordinances by approximately January 16th. There's some flexibility in there. We're not able to provide drafts by exactly then. It's okay. But we're aiming to be able to provide again, these are just drafts, not necessarily the final form, by January 16th to the developers. And at that point, again, we still have until March to actually adopt, middle of March to actually adopt those zoning ordinances. So I want to talk specifically about what's here on the agenda, and I'm going to walk through some of the ordinances and then resolutions, because these are all related to the affordable housing requirements. So first, there are two ordinances that are up for adoption tonight, related to our redevelopment obligations, or zoning obligations. The first is ordinance 42/2025. This is the Regina's property. This is not for this is for 143 State Street. We're going to get a presentation from our planner from Golda when we get to that one. The next is ordinance 43/2025. This is the one for the Reginas. This was deemed to be inconsistent with the master plan by the planning board. We're going to ask that that the council table that one, that ordinance, so that way we can essentially fix it and in accordance with the planning board's recommendations, and then we'll reintroduce it at the next meeting. In terms of the resolutions, we have resolution 11-2026. This is, I think, probably the biggest one. This is the one with Crossroads. There was one change that made to this I'll call it the last minute or earlier today. Earlier versions that were on the agenda included a draft proposed redevelopment plan. That was an accident. That was just an old draft that got accidentally included in the email. That was removed. And so with that, the one that you'll be voting on does not have that draft in there, because we still need to finish preparing the draft. That way we could send it to the developer by January 16th. So no other changes to that one have been made since. The next that's on here is resolution 12/2026. This is the combined resolution. Essentially the one that you guys saw at the last meeting. We're going to ask that this resolution be pulled, and that it be table it if you want, vote it down, whatever the council prefers. Either way, that's not the one that we're going to be moving ahead on. It was already, when we sent out the agenda originally, it was included on here, and so because it was included on the consent agenda, we can't just pull it off. You guys have to be the ones that actually do that. That's just a procedural thing. That has essentially being replaced with resolutions 32/2026, 33/2026, 34/2026, and 35/2026. And these are the ones with the individual developers for each of the properties that are on, the other properties are on housing element. And again, it just splits it out. That way you can provide input and vote on each of them individually. Well, so I want to apologize, I guess, first of all, to the council, to the public, for there was a lot of changes that were made suddenly, fairly at the last minute as to this. This was not the plan. Holidays, people's vacation schedules got in the way, and so the versions that originally went out were not the ones that were necessarily supposed to be. So we updated as soon as we could. So I apologize for all this confusion. It shouldn't take this much explanation that I should have to give. So if all of these resolutions are adopted, we will be able to settle and resolve and end the litigation. We will maybe be able to maintain our immunity from builders' remedy lawsuits. We will then move forward to either, depending on the specific project, either drafting redevelopment plans or the zoning ordinances for the ones that aren't in redevelopment areas. Those, as I said, have to be adopted by March 15th. Those I know that earlier came up about public benefits, specifically for the Crossroads project. We do include some reference to that in resolution 11/2026 as to what has been currently proposed. All of the details of that will be finalized in the redevelopment plan. Really, the reason that we're doing it that way is because these public benefits, you can't really look at them on their own. They're part of the whole project. And when we're doing all of the zoning requirements within the redevelopment project, that's we believe it's more of the appropriate time to consider those public benefits. So that's at the point at which those would get essentially locked in there. I know for Crossroads specifically, the Crossroads is required under our settlement agreement with them from 2023 to do several studies, mainly related to traffic. That will need to be finished by Crossroads before we adopt the redevelopment plan. After the redevelopment plan is adopted, The township is going to take and do its own independent studies on things like traffic, on noise. I think there's one that was requested on the schools. We'll be doing all of those after the redevelopment plan is adopted. The reason that we were waiting on that is because we don't know, we can't do a study until we know what we're studying, and we can't do that until we have the actual zoning adopted. Otherwise, we'd have to test out multiple things, and it would just be a waste of taxpayer resources. So after the redevelopment plans or the zoning overlays for those projects that have the redevelopment plans, then the township will start negotiating redevelopment agreements with individual developers. There are no timeline restrictions to that. It can take us a month. It could take us a year. It's up to the council decides what they are willing to agree to. It's up to what the developer is willing to agree to, and so there's not necessarily a fixed timeline on that. And then after that, that will come, I think, as was mentioned by Councilwoman Belcher. Then there will be some site plan applications. This is at this point a while down the road. Site plan applications for individual projects that will come to the planning board, for example. So I know there was a lot of information. If the council has any questions about it, if you need me to go through whatever we're asking you to do, just let me know.
Scott? Mr. Mayor, so just for clarification, so I'm sure what I'm voting on, instead of a lump sum settlement agreement, which is resolution 12, we're going to table or pull 12, and then we're going to vote individually on the 4 or 5 settlements, which are 11, 32, 33, 34, and 35?
That is correct. And then we also asked that ordinance.
Yeah, the ordinances I get.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Belcher?
Okay, regarding the settlement agreement for Crossroads, we spelled out a couple of things, specifically the impact studies. We just did not say traffic, but we added
Yes.
transportation.
That was included in there. Correct.
That we wanted to have to reconvene a meeting with, and I say reconvene because I think former Senator Weinberg, the last time we had met with New Jersey Transit, we actually had a full opportunity to hear what could be potentially offered because of the fact that if we're looking at 318 units on Cedar Lane, what impact that might have in terms of actual transit, and additional buses, the possibility of additional buses within the township. We also spoke to the school. I believe you mentioned that. Of course, the drainage, and also whatever kind of, because Cedar Lane is a county road, whatever kind of way in which we need to pull the county in terms of impact to residents. So I just want to make
Yep.
sure that
No,
that's memorialized.
That's absolutely, that's on packet page 147 here in subsection B3. It specifically obligates the township to conduct its own independent traffic and transportation studies in cooperation or in conjunction with NJ Transit, with the county, Bergen County. We're doing community and environmental impact studies, including analysis of the impacts on the schools. And then we're also doing a study as to the stormwater flood mitigation efforts, that part of the project as well. So all that will be done after the redevelopment plan, once we have the zoning, as we're negotiating the redevelopment agreement.
Scott, the 2023 settlement's still in effect, right?
That is correct, yes.
So the studies that Crossroads has to do before a redevelopment plan still has to happen?
Correct. My understanding is those studies are, I'm not sure exactly what stage they're in. My understanding is I think they've been either are done or about to be done, and they're reviewing drafts, but they have not been shared yet with the township. We will get those before any redevelopment plan, and we have to get those before any redevelopment plan is actually adopted.
And I have a question. So last time we had a meeting and Crossroads was here, they talked about where the drainage was going to empty out onto, and it was involving the railroad tracks, which is kind of scary and dangerous. I don't know if everybody saw what happened in Kentucky. Do we have to have any meeting with CSX?
So I'll say first of all, what they end up doing is going to be in conjunction with the water mitigation efforts are going to be done in conjunction with our engineers. Our engineers need to sign off on all of it as well. Then we will be meeting as part of that with any other stakeholders, anyone else that has an interest in that. So it could be CSX, for example. I think Bergen County will need to be part of that. There's a lot of different people that will need to meet with as well. as part of
Yes,
it.
I meant, is it, well, they were literally talking about dumping the water onto CSX property. Do they have to have a say in this?
They have to have, well, I guess I don't know, I don't know enough about what that final plan is going to look like,
The
but.
power,
But potentially depending on what exactly what the engineers come up with as to what they want to do, that could require us to meet with CSX and other stakeholders.
Okay.
I have another-
Deputy Mayor.
Okay. So I just want to move on to 54 West Englewood Avenue, block 4905, lot 3. When the developer first approached the project, he had just lot 3, but has since assembled lot 1 and 2. So he has lot 1, 2, and 3. And the whole discussion, I believe we memorialized this as well, that we would have a community meeting for 4905, and that we would also, as a part of the community meeting, to have a discussion with the developer in terms of the height of that building
Yes.
and what the possibilities might be, even if it means to do subsurface parking, because the goal is to look at a low rise as opposed to mid rise, to go three stories. I don't know, Golda, if you want to speak to that at all. But the whole idea is that we ideally, because of the nature of that, the community is single family homes, that we want to be, want that final development to be conducive of more of a garden apartment style, development. So now that he has assembled 3 lots, we can go out as opposed to going up.
That's correct. And I appreciate that. Thank you. And so there's on page 647 of the packet, subsection A1. It also goes on to 648, page 648. It does require that the township will schedule a community impact meeting sometime this month, January 2026. And that meeting will be attended by the owner of Before West Englewood, who will personally be there to answer any questions. Community will be able to provide feedback, and we'll be able to revise or include that feedback in the redevelopment plan and any subsequent agreement based on whatever feedback we receive from the community at that meeting. They were working on scheduling it now. My recollection was that I was told either January 29th or 30th, somewhere around there.
Mhm.
So I think we're still trying to figure that out, but we're going to hopefully figure that out soon. And obviously the public is welcome to attend and encourage them to attend and provide us with their thoughts.
Councilman?
Sorry, just one clarifying question on that same, with that same developer. It says here that it's going to allow for a 53 unit development on block 4905. Is that inclusive of 1, 2, and 3?
It is.
Okay, and we're sure that it is possible to do garden apartment style development with that many units?
Don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I'll have to check, but they would have to be able to do. I'm thinking how to answer that. I believe so. I believe so. I'm trying to think if they've said anything
I
that
think-
they can't, but
I think that's what we're looking at,
yeah.
the possibility of
Yeah.
subsurface parking,
Yeah, I do-
underground
yeah, I
parking,
think we
like on
require
streets.
that.
Yeah.
As long as they had subsurface parking, I can't think of any reason why they wouldn't, at least theoretically, be able to. Whether they're willing to do it or not, I don't know, but I can't think of any reason why they wouldn't be.
The reason I ask is, let's say they come back and they're like, actually, it's not possible to do 53 with 3 stories. Would we then be forced to allow a taller building?
Would be forced to allow a taller building? Well, no, because we can, as part of the zoning, we can impose those sorts of like height requirements and other things like
Okay.
that as well. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So then we'll move on to the public hearing and adoption of ordinances. Just to go back, Mr. Attorney, you want us to make a motion now to table 43? Just want to go over what you were just confirm that?
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, so then with that, before we do anything else, I'll make a motion to table 43 of 2025.
Second.
Roll call, clerk.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz, Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Attorney, just before we start the hearing, was there something Golda was going to do on 42 before we start?
Yes. You can do it. Yeah. 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 One second.
Okay, so Mr. Clerk, let's put it up.
Good evening, everyone. I'll do an introduction. I'm Golda McMillan. I'm the township redevelopment planner. And my name is Golden McMillan. I work for a company called Topology. We're a land use planning firm based out of Newark, New Jersey. I don't represent any developers. I represent the township. I just want to, make that clear. So I work for you guys. What is going to be presented before you tonight is the second reading, which, council next to me will tell you that means action to be taken, to be voted on, of a redevelopment plan at 143 State Street. If you would like, Doug, I'll just say next slide and you can flip it. So next slide. So this is actually going to be pretty to the point. I'm going to talk about the background and process of redevelopment planning, what this plan on a high level overview is, and just initially what the next steps will be of this plan. Next slide. Next slide, Doug. Yep, sorry. So the background process. So what is a redevelopment plan? And I know this council has seen many redevelopment plans so far, but redevelopment plan, what that is a detailed zoning ordinance, and what it can include are different kind of design standards such as uses, how to design architecture around the building, maybe landscaping, things like that. And it may also include certain public benefit information that's required in the redevelopment plan. And what you're going to see in this redevelopment plan are imagery, but I want to just emphasize that they're illustrative. They're not the final design, and that this is not a site plan. This is not a site plan approval, and this is neither a redevelopment agreement. All those details are to come next. Next slide, Doug. So what property is being essentially included in this redevelopment plan? It's the parcel at 143 State Street. That's at the corner of Queen Anne Avenue as well as State Street. Next slide, Doug. To get to this point tonight, there's actually been several years in the making, beginning with a preliminary investigation of several properties along this corridor and this block back in early 2022, where this area was studied and it was determined to be an area in need of redevelopment without condemnation under a resolution that was ultimately adopted by the planning board and also endorsed by this council. In October 2024, up until June of 2025, as we know, there has been the new release of the affordable housing rules. This property was included in the housing element, and there's already been a lot of discussion about this property up to this point and tonight. This is the implemented ordinance, and this would be to help implement the housing element. This plan was introduced last month, and tonight, along with its settlement, it is up for adoption. Next slide, please. So high level, just what are the outcomes of this plan? The goals are to take this intersection, which has a dilapidated gas station, and redevelop it to a more lively mixed-use multifamily and retail site. The existing zoning B1 doesn't allow certain uses that you would want to probably see more compatible here, such as restaurants. The mixed-use desire here, that's one of the key outcomes, as well as supporting housing diversity and including the mandated affordable housing set aside, as well as regulations that will activate the streetscape, improve things like closing the curb cuts that are very much close to that intersection and kind of expanding them away further, as well as requiring other streetscape lighting and certain requirements that will help architecturally make this a more sightly site. Next slide. There's a lag, so again, a conceptual design at this point. The permitted uses would be a mixed use building with ground floor retail, upper floor multifamily dwellings with typical accessory uses such as parking facilities, maybe with some rooftop amenity decks, lobbies, mail rooms, common spaces, things you would typically find. Next slide. What the redevelopment plan does is it regulates its bulk standards. In this redevelopment plan particularly, it's regulated so that there will be no subdivision here. It's got a minimum lot size that's consistent with the existing condition. Zoning that would encourage green infrastructure design to be included within it, and essentially zone for this conceptual plan. Next slide. And the density would be consistent with that of the housing elements and vision of the set aside ordinance as well as the settlement agreements. I already went over some of this, but Generally, this is what are the kind of standards you would see in zoning ordinances, and that would be regulated here, particularly things around park and circulation, building, architecture, design, new signage, things that would be updated zoning for this project. Next slide. So again, tonight is the second reading. This is the public hearing. It's the official vote for this ordinance. And as I said before, there's no site plan, there's no redevelopment agreement at this time. That's to be determined in a future date, which I would believe would be very much public for anybody to come back to at that point.
Thank you very much. Any comments on the West Tryon Avenue parking restriction?
On the what?
Joking. Joking. Okay. With that said, we're going to open the public hearing to for the adoption of ordinances. Anyone who'd like to speak, this is your time just on these two, which is the adoption of the redevelopment plan and on the parking restrictions on West Tryon Avenue. Anybody in the audience that'd like to speak? Doctor?
Philip Yelkinek, New Jersey resident. I just have a quick suggestion for when these things are printed, that we don't know what lot number blah, blah, blah is, that sometimes you're putting the addresses in and sometimes you're not putting the addresses in. It would just be helpful for the public to know where this is, other than to listen to someone, just to have it in print. That's all.
Thank you, Doctor. Absolutely. Anybody else in the audience like to speak? Seeing no other hands in the audience, do we have anyone on Zoom? Call them in, please. This is, to remind them as you call them in, this is just on these two ordinances.
Bringing in Dr. Chuck Powers. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Yes, Chuck Powers. I think we need an additional clarification from the attorney about what it is that the court is requiring us to get done tonight, among all the things that he talked about, including, I want to talk about the fact that it is so right not to be, is to have tabled 43, in that because we have a planning board which spent an hour unanimously finding inconsistencies with the
Wait,
master
We're
plan.
not talking
And
about
so I understand that, and I just want to make
then
sure
don't talk about
that
that.
that
Keep
the
going.
idea that it is going to be tabled and returned next time. My point about that is very simple. When the planning board is exercising its authority, it was wrong to have brought this forward and only to have taken it off the table tonight. We're looking at an agenda that has been in 5 different places since it was late in being published last Friday. It is impossible for the public to try to keep up with this, and only to find out tonight that any work that people have been doing on 43 to sustain the planning board's decisions about that we have got to figure out some way in which the public can be adequately told about what it is they should be spending their time on. 43, we will find out what finally happens to it, but it is certainly right to have tabled that tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, we're not going to clap. We discussed that. Anyone else on? Seeing no other hands, the hearing is closed. Mr. Attorney, before we vote, did you have anything you wanted to talk about?
I just want to say on that subject, we don't have a choice procedurally how this works. The council voted to introduce it. It was then referred to the planning board. Regardless of what the planning board does, it has to come back on the agenda for adoption. That just procedurally.
Thank you. We weren't going to get a praise on that. I understand. Roll call, Mr. I'll make the motion to approve 42 and 44, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please, Mrs. Clark. Ms.
Councilwoman Gober,
I'm going to abstain on 42 and yes on 44.
Councilman Gahn,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Abstain on 42 and yes on 44.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Thank you very much. And now we go to good and welfare. 3 minutes, talk about anything else, anything you'd like to talk. We'll start with everyone in the room, and thereafter we will go to Zoom. We will start on this side, Mr. Rose.
Thank you. Howard Rose, Teaneck resident, 45 years, very active member of the Teaneck community. 17 years on the Teaneck Planning Board, 9 years as a trustee on the Teaneck Board of Education, a member of the Teaneck Financial Advisory Board, a member of Teaneck Comes Together, several other organizations as well. I normally speak impromptu and just say what I'm thinking at that moment. Deviating from that tonight, and I'm reading a letter that I wrote back to someone who sent me a letter. Give that a shot. It seems like you are suggesting a new set of the 3 R's: review, reason, react. Will thoughtful dialogue prevail? I'm appalled by the activities of the Teaneck Council. Less stressing is my disappointment regarding the Planning Board. Despite my many years of very active involvement in township boards, committees, and organizations, I am currently in a state of confusion. I read, listen, and discuss many of the ongoing Teaneck controversies. Nevertheless, I am left with a feeling of intellectual inadequacy. Who can understand how the Teaneck Council can ignore the overwhelming public rejection of the areas in need of rehabilitation? Every community meeting and council agenda was a biased thrusting of an agenda based on bogus concerns such as a dead squirrel, a crack in the sidewalk, and repairable buildings. From the start, there was no backing down, just resistance to the desires of so many residents to retain the town's ambience. The 2007 master plan was written and reflected thoughtful community input. The 2025 major revision, years late in meeting state mandates for review, did not improve the detail nor format. It missed the mark. At the December 2025 council meeting, one member praised Crosswords with several minutes of repetitive accolades, of flattery and praise, pandering to the Crosswords development plan. 2 members are tethered by financial campaign contributions from Crosswords. I wonder what their connection is to the proposal. The area truly in need of redevelopment is a path strewn with obstacles that the Teaneck Council reads. Sincerely, Howard. I think sadly, this group of people is going to be known as a quagmire council, and that's very unfortunate. I look at the agenda tonight. What is it, 600-odd pages? And I wonder how many of you really read this in detail and how many of you really understood the detail. I'm sure it interfered with your private lives at home. Thank you for your time.
Elchanan?
Good evening. Elchanan O'Gork, Teaneck resident. Dear council members and residents of Teaneck, I stand before you today to address an issue that affects not only our local community, but Jewish communities around the world. Anti-Semitism remains a persistent and deeply troubling reality. Here in Teaneck, we experience it not only through isolated incidents, but through subtle acts of minimization and denial. We must be clear, no amount of gaslighting could sever the deep connection between the Jewish community of Teaneck and the land of Israel. Israel is not just a place on a map, it is central to our identity, our history, and our people. Our heritage and our future are intertwined with it. At the same time, our connection to Israel does not diminish our deep patriotism to the United States of America or our commitment to this town. Like our neighbors, we care about everyday needs of Teaneck. Our roads, leaf pickup, snow removal, public safety, and the overall quality of life. We are invested here because this is our home. We truly appreciate and value Teaneck's diversity. It is one of this town's greatest strengths. Our families participate in town sports, activities, and community events, and we are grateful for the many opportunities that bring residents of all backgrounds together. When our community is hurting, we seek compassion and understanding. We hope for solidarity, not erasure. As Jews, we have every right to celebrate our faith, our heritage, and our connection to Israel openly and safely. It is essential that we stand firm against anti-Semitism in all forms. We must educate, advocate, and ensure our voices are heard. We will not be silenced or have our lived experiences dismissed. Our community has always shown resilience and unity. We support one another and we consistently show up for our neighbors. The Jewish community of Teaneck has stood with others in times of need, and we will continue to do so because that is who we are. Many of us walk nearly every Sunday for the hostages taken on October 7th, 2023. Our purpose was simple: to ensure they were not forgotten. These individuals taken from Israel came from many countries around the world, and we advocated for all of them so that their stories and their humanity would never be erased. As we look ahead, let us draw strength from our past and hope for a better future. Together, we will continue to stand strong, support one another, and uphold both our Jewish values and shared American and Teaneck ideals. As a proud American Zionist, I am open to respectful dialogue. I welcome conversations that help others understand my connection to Israel and why somebody living here in Teaneck feels that bond so deeply. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Dr. Grout. Ms. Horowitz? You're next.
Good evening, Council. Emma Horowitz, Teaneck resident. I wanted to address an upsetting development from the most recent Board of Education election that affects all Teaneck residents. 2 videos of unknown origin circulated that relied on classical anti-Semitic tropes. These videos were used to cast aspersions on the organization of which I am a co-founder and president, the Bergen County Jewish Action Committee, as well as Teaneck's entire Jewish community. Additionally, a box truck drove around Teaneck on Election Day, imploring voters to stop the non-public takeover, with non-public, of course, in smaller letters. This truck again relied on anti-Semitic fear-mongering. After the candidates who benefited from this hateful messaging won the election, we reached out to Teaneck's elected officials and newly elected members of the BOE and asked everyone, as our town's leadership, to condemn this anti-Semitic rhetoric. We also named the problem of toxic, hateful speech in our elections, which has been a problem in other elections as well, and asked for a dialogue on how to help curb this behavior. It is profoundly disappointing that many members of council sitting here tonight did not respond to this email or answered by furthering the problem through insulting and pejorative language. I again ask all members of council to do some introspection on the problem of hateful rhetoric. Elections should be based on issues and, where appropriate, a candidate's record. Politics is often used as an excuse for people's basest hatreds to run unchecked because it is just politics. Well, this is a small town. Politics or not, we all see each other in the streets and in the public square. Elections should not be an opportunity for people to become reduced to stereotypes. They should never be a reason to stoke fear and hatred among neighbors. Anti-Semitic hate crimes are up, and political violence is becoming commonplace nationwide. Indeed, it is significant that today is the 5-year anniversary of January 6th, 2021, when 5 people died from political violence in Washington. Not one member of our leadership should remain silent on this topic. It is bad enough that people from other towns come here and spew vile, disgusting anti-Semitic hatred. It is unacceptable that our elected officials should remain silent and even at times benefit from it. Hateful rhetoric is something that affects all of us, and opposing it should unite all of us. Every single person here and on the Board of Education belongs to a gender, religion, or ethnic group that has experienced discrimination and prejudice, even violence. It is incumbent upon all of our leadership to be the change that we should all want to see. Please, help make Teaneck a safer and better place for all its residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Horowitz. Ms. Schwartz?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I speak tonight on behalf of One Town, One Vote, the Teaneck grassroots organization that stands for democracy, openness, transparency, and public input into all local affairs in Teaneck. At its meeting on Sunday night, One Town, One Vote voted to ask and demand answers of the council regarding the Crossroads redevelopment plan, which was until about 3 hours ago on the agenda for tonight's approval through a settlement agreement. We demanded answers to 12 questions. We sent these by email to all council members on Sunday. So hoping that perhaps some of these questions or all of them might be answered tonight. I know that some of them have been addressed by council to a limited extent, but not all these questions have been answered and not as certainly as fully as we would like them to be answered. We will have 4 speakers speaking tonight, including myself. I will ask the first 3 questions. The first question is, why has the town not done its own independent traffic study as required by the 2023 settlement agreement with Crossroads? This has been going on for 3 years. The plan has always been to have, at a minimum, 450 additional cars on the intersection of Cedar Lane and Garrison Avenue. The settlement agreement entered into 3 years ago required the town to have an independent traffic study done before consideration of any redevelopment plan. We ask again, why has not that independent traffic study been done? It's incredibly important to know and to give to the public to tell them what's going to happen with the traffic in this particular area from this huge development. Number 2, what problems did Stop and Shop have with the 2 traffic studies that the developer says it turned over to them? On December 9th, the developer came before this council and the public, indicated in response to questioning that 2 traffic studies, in fact, had been done and been turned over to Stop and Shop for its own perusal. And that Stop and Shop had quote unquote comments about these traffic studies, and that they were negotiating those comments with Stop and Shop without any further information given. Why have these studies, what was the problems that Stop and Shop had? I think the public would like to know. Why hasn't that information been turned over to the public? Number 3, why have the traffic studies done by the developer not been turned over to the Teaneck Council and the Teaneck public for review? I understand these traffic studies were done more than a year ago. Why have they not been turned over to this council that required them in its settlement agreement 3 years ago? And why have they been not turned over to the public for review? What is the developer trying to hide in this situation? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Gentleman in the back, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Sir, yes, sir.
Good evening, I'm Norman Levin, Tilden Avenue. At December's council meeting, a speaker got up and blatantly smeared the Jewish community with straight out anti-Semitic tropes, accusing it of being anti-American. As appalling as that vulgarity was, I was astounded that all but one council member let those remarks pass unchallenged. Hateful words indulged, encouraged, and normalized by racist, prejudiced bigotry will inevitably lead to hateful deeds. Globalize the Intifada results in Bondi Beach. It means the attack on a Manchester synagogue on Yom Kippur. Armed struggle means the firebombing of a peaceful march in support of hostages in Boulder, Colorado. Free Palestine means the murder of Israeli embassy staffers in Washington, D.C. Palestine free from the river to the sea means October 7th. These are not calls for coexistence, for a Palestinian state living side by side with a Jewish state. It's not even about the well-being of suffering Gazans, because if it were about them, there would be worldwide marches demanding that Hamas fulfill the requirements of the UN Security Council to lay down its arms, demilitarize, hold free and fair elections, and improve the lives of the Palestinian people instead of stealing international aid and selling it back to those people at inflated prices. The Western world has expressed sorrow and pain at the murder of the 16 Jews on Bondi Beach, yet the murder of 100 times that many on October 7th was met with either indifference or outright satisfaction, and often with cheers. These Israelis were killed in their bedrooms, holding their children. There were teens dancing at sunrise, raped and murdered. There are people in the West, educated people, people who are my neighbors, who have celebrated that massacre. This is not just naive anti-Zionism. I ask of my neighbors, consider your prejudices. You cannot regard yourselves as moral when you tolerate the removal of Jews from public spaces, when you dehumanize Israeli citizens and indulge those who seek to kick Jews out of public spaces, publishing houses, concert venues, soccer stadiums, Eurovision Song Contest universities. That indifference leads directly to the massacre of Jews on Bondi Beach. I call upon my friends and neighbors to commit to the religious imperative so intrinsic to the charity and grace of your faith, whether Christian or Muslim. Commit to the safety and dignity of your Jewish neighbors. Your morality demands nothing less.
Thank you, Mr. Levin. Sam?
Hello, my name is Sam Pasner, 868 Broad Street. First of all, I wanted to comment on the Public Decorum Task Force, and particularly if it's open to public membership, I wanted to state my interest in such a task force. I am worried, though, prior to the establishment of such a task force, that could be used, particularly in these council meetings and in public welfare, to prevent certain people from expressing certain viewpoints. And obviously, though I'm certainly in favor of strong civil discourse and the need to permit disagreement and to do so civilly, we need to make sure that whatever task force we do, if and when this task force is established, that it forwards rather than detracts from civil and peaceful disagreement. The second thing I wanted to ask this town council is that to follow certain other municipalities such as Patterson, Morristown, and Bloomfield to pass support for things like the Immigrant Trust Act and the new modifications of it that were sponsored by our representatives in the New Jersey Assembly to protect our immigrant communities and to make absolutely sure that everyone in this town and throughout our state is completely safe. And I would really hope that the town passes a resolution in favor of that, particularly, again, given that it's our representatives who are pushing this forward. So to express that these acts have the full support of this town. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Pasner. Russia?
Good evening, council and members of the public. Reshma Khan, Teaneck resident. Continuing the list of questions that One Town, One Vote would like to ask this council in regards to the Crossroads settlement agreement. We want to know, then thank you, town attorney, for addressing that the impact studies will be shared later, will be done later when the redevelopment plan has been crafted. But why have the noise and utility studies that are required as part of the 2023 settlement agreement not yet been turned over to the council and the public? So some parts of this still seem as if some information is being withheld from residents. Next, the developer has indicated that the Buddhist Center still has 5 years left on the lease. So what happens if this Buddhist Center refuses to move to Beverly Road because the terms of and all of the redlining, sorry, we couldn't really read it, but the terms of the land exchange are not entirely clear. And we saw the presentation on December 9th, so we know that there is sufficient space for the farmers market. But who at the farmers market has actually approved this, if anyone? Farmers market has always been a crown jewel for Teanex's downtown area. So we are pretty worried that this will be affected by this plan. That was from One Town, One Vote. On a more happier note, since it's January and it's Muslim Heritage Month, thank you, Council, for passing the resolution. We are your Muslim neighbors invite you to the many events that are available, one on January 11th, Sunday. So we hope for more participation at the Marriott, which will be a celebration of Muslim culture and heritage, as well as another one which is being held at Rhoda Center on January 18th, also a Sunday. And then at the library, we'll have many events, including book readings. And the most prominent one we have is on Jan 24th, which will include henna, crafts, and activities for children. Thank you.
Very much. Or
Good evening, Tamar Warburg, Teaneck resident. Several weeks ago, an individual stood at this very podium and questioned the Americanism of Teaneck's Jewish residents. He referred to residents with families like mine who have been in the U.S. for generations, some of whom have served in the military, some of whom currently serve in the military, as a fifth column and sneaky bastards, textbook anti-Semitism. Now, one could dismiss the fellow who made these remarks as a clown. Indeed, ridiculous is the word that describes a man dressed in all black like an ISIS fighter, lecturing a municipal body on national security and terrorism. Absurd is how best to describe an anti-Israel activist whose fellow activists often sit for the national anthem and burn the American flag, lamenting the lack of American flags at a pro-Israel rally. But the best part of this bearded Borat's performance was his breathtaking lack of self-awareness, his claim with a straight face that anti-Semitism was fake while engaging in it himself. Sacha Baron Cohen would be impressed. But what cannot be dismissed was this council's overwhelming silence. Other than Councilwoman Goldberg, not one council member spoke up. That was not funny at all. I am not suggesting that this council curb free speech. I am suggesting that every single person at this dais exercise their own right to free speech and use the platform entrusted to them by the town's residents to speak up. No more excuses about not giving hateful rhetoric more oxygen. At this point, I do not think it's a question of if there will be an anti-Semitic attack in Teaneck. I honestly think it's a matter of when. Get on the right side of history and be bold. Just today, the mayor of the second largest city in New Jersey posted a strongly worded tweet announcing that he had signed an executive order rejecting BDS in Jersey City. In multiple tweets, he explained why. He was clear, specific, and unequivocal about the rise in anti-Semitism and the double standard that is always applied to Israel. Mayor Fulop didn't have to sign the order, and he certainly didn't have to write a lengthy tweet about it and engage with comments. He did it because he knew it was his job to use his platform to set an example, even though he knew he'd get blowback. That is what leaders do. I strongly suggest that our mayor take a line out of Mayor Fulop's playbook and use the power of his mayoral position to speak boldly. Yes, the playbook of the guy who Mayor Schwartz said was weak on anti-Semitism when he ran for governor. As Alanis Morissette would say, isn't it ironic? For hate to have no home in Teaneck, we need more than lawn signs. We need to call out hate when we see it and do our part to stop it. This starts with every single one of our elected leaders, Jewish and not Jewish alike, even when it's not election season.
Very much, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Tracy Carcione. My husband and I live at 667 Chestnut Avenue, which is near the corner of North Street. My husband and I are both blind, so we do not drive. We walk everywhere. We patronize a lot of the businesses in Teaneck because we can walk to them. We cross North Street and Alma Terrace all the time, and we also walk over to Stop and Shop pretty often. And I just hope that when you finally get around to these traffic studies, that you won't just be studying Cedar Lane and drivers, but that you will keep in mind pedestrians in our very walkable neighborhood, because there are lots of us, including older people and kids and all sorts of people walking around, and we would still like to be able to cross our streets without having to worry about getting run over. That's it.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Heidi?
Heidi Fuchs. I'm standing here tonight because what happened at the last council meeting cannot be repeated. I'm standing here tonight because silence has consequences. Sweeping and defamatory accusations against the Jewish community of Teaneck, and all but one of you did nothing. And the most painful part, he was allowed to finish, no gavel, no warning, no interruption, no condemnation, no statement then, no statement since. That silence matters. Let me be perfectly clear. If those same accusations had been hurled at any other religious or ethnic group in Teaneck, this town would have erupted. Members of this council would have erupted. There would have been outrage, emergency statements, wall-to-wall condemnations, and they would have been swift. The moral energy in this room would have been unmistakable. But when it comes to the Jews, total silence. This is deeply troubling double standard. 3 members of this council who were not themselves targets of the harassment had a clear moral duty to intervene. Leadership requires authority to stop harm in real time and to state unequivocally that this conduct is unacceptable. Silence in that moment was a failure of responsibility. After everything we have witnessed, after the slaughter of Bondi Beach, public officials can no longer afford to be bystanders. Silence in moments like these is not neutral. It sends a message. Your silence becomes an endorsement. When hate is spoken in an official forum and goes unanswered, it is legitimized and endangers real people. Words spoken in this chamber do not disappear when the meeting ends. They are not harmless. They are recorded. They are shared. They travel. They embolden. They are heard by people already looking for permission to hate. And when they are allowed to stand unchallenged, they tell the Jewish residents that our safety and dignity are negotiable. This is in your hands. Decorum is not only about time limits and procedure, it is about reinforcing moral boundaries. Your responsibility is not only to manage meetings, it is to protect the people who live here. It is about drawing a clear line between civic expression and dangerous incitement. Your silence was heard by Teanac's Jewish residents, by the people who voted you into those seats, and by those who learned that anti-Semitism would be allowed to stand here unchallenged. I'm not asking for censorship, I'm demanding accountability. Interrupt slander when it happens. Condemn anti-Semitism and all forms of hate immediately, clearly, and publicly. Make it unmistakably clear and without hesitation that this chamber will not be used to target any community, that no community in Teaneck will be delegitimized and left to stand alone. Leaders are not judged by what they condemn privately, but by what they confront publicly. Do not let this council be remembered as the one that allowed hatred to pass this podium unchallenged, and by doing so, fan the flames of anti-Semitism. Do not let this podium become a place where hatred is spoken and met with silence.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fuchs. The lady behind, sorry, Tori, the woman behind you? Sorry, I can't, thank you.
Hi, I'm Lynn Kloss. I've been a resident of Teaneck for 50 years and a couple months. And thank you all for your work on behalf of on behalf of us Teaneck residents and your residents yourselves. I just wanted to say that I am pro smart development. I'm not anti-development, but I'm pro-development that takes into account the quality of life for all the stakeholders, that is Teaneck homeowners and Teaneck business owners alike. We agree, all of us, on the need to revitalize a dilapidated Cedar Lane, which the proposed Crossroads development does not address. Even if Crossroads is built, Cedar Lane will still be sad, empty storefronts. We also agree on the need for housing that will give new residents a leg up. That Crossroads does address this, but in a way that's on far too grand a scale to fit into our community. It will certainly create more traffic, more noise, and more flooding. In fact, I'm not sure what the benefits of the Crossroads development are to the residents of Teaneck. A more community-friendly approach to development could involve taking a page from Englewood's book and building excuse me, building 3-story, perhaps places with retail on the first floor and housing on the upper floors. And there would be plenty of room to give our residents preference there. It seems to me that a partnership of residents and business owners could collaborate to make this happen. We all just have to get out our huge bags of carrots. We put our sticks away and we get out our carrots and we work together and collaborate. Thank you.
Dr. Yupt?
Philip Yuck, Teaneck. I emailed the council, I emailed all of you what I had wanted to say at the December 22nd meeting that I was unable to attend and that could not be read by my neighbor, Vicky Costa, as she was unable to unmute herself on Zoom. This is some of what I had wanted to say, and then some, as it applies to where we're at this moment. I continue to be deeply troubled about the plan to develop apartment buildings on our municipal parking lots right next to, abutting, surrounding, and directly across from single-family homes. As stated many times before, I totally understand the state requirements and laws around affordable housing and AINRs. I don't object to building some multifamily housing in appropriate areas. Beverly Road and American Legion Drive are not appropriate areas. I have explained my position on this plan development repeatedly, and you all know what my position is. The community has also expressed its views, vehemently opposing this development. Unfortunately, we were all more focused on staying alive during the pandemic and missed our legal windows of opportunity to challenge the original AINR designations. Based on the council's recent de-designating an AINR, we now know it can be done. You, the council, have the power to do the right thing. It's in your hands. There are far better alternatives to this current plan. I believe I speak for all the residents of Bell Avenue and surrounding streets when I say we all want the flooding problems thoroughly remediated. If in fact a building and parking garage are ultimately to be constructed on our municipal parking lot on Beverly Road, the flooding solution must be complete and comprehensive, not a slapdash, slipshod job. No corners should be cut, no expense spared, but the impact for a developer to build this building is a permanent one on the community and not a public benefit of any sort, and something that will be in your face every day and for which the consequences will affect the residents not only nearby but throughout town each and every waking hour. I encourage all council members who are able to vote to approve, if this is going to be built, to approve any amendments to the settlement agreement with Crossroads that will demand full compliance with everything required to remediate flooding. And I mean everything. I believe that Mayor Schwartz and Deputy Mayor Organ should abstain from all present and future voting on anything to do with the ALD Beverly Road development, given that they accepted a $2,500 campaign contribution from Steve Hittman, the founder and CEO of Crossroads Communities. Thank you for hearing me out yet again.
Thank you, Dr. Young. Shanaz?
Thank you, Shanaz from Chestnut Avenue, right behind American Legion. The development project has been a source of community anxiety. The developer presents an amended plan totaling about 318 new units and an expected increase of 477 cars per day into our residential streets. This is a seismic shift in the density, character, and quality of life for Teaneck residents. Just to remind everyone, in Southwest Teaneck, there are 5 schools and daycare centers, 974 children from pre-K to 12th grade, 6 religious organizations and cultural centers. This development is a significant change in the life, in the neighborhood, and quality of life. I would like to highlight 4 concerns that require attention. First is traffic. There is a need for adequate and realistic traffic study. Just last month, we witnessed that a simple pile of leaves forced by a two-way traffic into a single lane on North Avenue by American Legion. If a small landscaping task causes concern, imagine the challenges during snow. How can we possibly absorb more cars? This project requires an independent, rigorous, and reality-based traffic impact analysis that fully accounts for existing school drop-off and commute bottlenecks, the impact on emergency response times, the true safety risk to pedestrians and children in these suddenly congested streets, like my neighbor Tracy just talked about. The second concern is potential flooding. I'm deeply concerned with redirecting the drainage from Beverly to a planned congested area on American Legion versus to other drainage pipes. American Legion Drive is on the downhill slope, and all the water during storms settles in the drainage and overflows by American Legion. I lived there, so I know. I've lived there all my life, so I can tell you it does overflow. The third concern is noise. Where is the noise study based on the expected traffic patterns? The fourth concern is environmental risk. The proximity of development to rail lines carry hazardous chemicals. The risk of potential derailments, chemical transport, and structural vibrations near hundreds of new and existing residents is very real. We need a detailed environmental impact statement that does more than acknowledge the rail line. It must outline the true risk and the developer's binding commitment to implement necessary safety buffers and monitoring the health and safety of our community. Please consider all 4 concerns: traffic, flooding, noise, and environmental risks, and prioritize the well-being of Teaneck's residents as the foundation of all developments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shanaz. Ms. Baywitz, and then Eric, I believe, next. Eric?
Hi, Teresa Bayowitz, Teaneck resident, Rutland Avenue.
Good evening. Happy New Year to you all. I want to begin by thanking you for the resolutions passed tonight recognizing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Muslim Heritage Month. Both resolutions were thoughtful and meaningful. They acknowledge the profound and singular contributions of Dr. King and the Muslim community, not just to Teaneck, but to our nation and our shared civic life. What stands out to me this evening is how natural and uncontroversial those resolutions felt. No one is questioning whether honoring Dr. King excludes other civil rights leaders. No one is suggesting that recognizing Muslim heritage diminishes the importance of other faiths or cultures. We understand instinctively that honoring one story does not erase another, that recognizing something particular can strengthen our collective whole. I'd like to contrast this with the December 9th council meeting, which I watched on Zoom, when this body approved a Holocaust memorial for Teaneck. That night, some residents, many of whom are here tonight again, argued that the township should not recognize the Holocaust unless and until it recognizes all tragedies, all histories, all groups equally. The memorial was described by some as illegitimate precisely because it focused on one people and one history. And yet tonight we saw something important. That concern did not arise. No one is arguing that Dr. King should not be recognized. No one suggested Muslim Heritage Month should wait until every community's Heritage Month is formally proclaimed. We understand correctly that commemoration is not a zero-sum act. Recognition is not exclusion, and memory is not a competition. As a town, we accept this essential truth. We honor specific histories because they matter, because they shape who we are, and because remembering them makes us more compassionate and more whole. The Holocaust Memorial belongs in that same moral and civic space. It does not ask Teaneck to value one group over another. It asks us to remember a specific horror so that lessons remain alive for everyone. I'm grateful to the council for showing through your actions that Teaneck can hold many stories at once. My hope is that we can continue to extend that generosity consistently, recognizing that honoring particular experiences is one of the ways that we affirm our shared humanity and celebrate our diversity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maywitz. Sorry.
Robert Lazaroff, Beatrice Street, Teaneck. The residents that live in the neighborhood of Beverly Road do not want these proposed garages and luxury apartment buildings. We in this community will have to live with the demolition of perfectly good parking lots and the ongoing noise, dust, and debris of months of construction. We in this community will be left with the mess and danger of all the unknowns that have been expressed this evening. Issues of public safety, the impact of severe flooding on Beverly Road and Bell Avenue. But the issue I want to address in the remainder of my time is the future of the Teaneck Farmers Market. The farmers market that takes advantage of the parking lots on Beverly Road from May through November has been a treasure to both residents of Teaneck and visitors from surrounding towns. The two full farms that set up dozens of tented stalls, the Amish Stoltguts Farm and Bakery and the other Jersey Fresh, bring big trucks when they park in the parking lot, and then they set up their tables alongside. And it's not just these two large farms. All the vendors set up tents by their trucks. You can see this type of successful layout applied to the farmers markets of Montclair and Ramsey, who both share many of the same vendors as the Teaneck Farmers Market. Importantly, the Montclair and Ramsey farmers markets are successful because they're located in big open-air parking lots in the center of their towns, just like we have in Teaneck. There's plenty of room for the vendors, and there's plenty of room for residents and visitors to stroll, to sample, to mingle, to purchase. The fate of the farmers market might seem an afterthought to the council and Crossroads, but it is part of the cultural lifeblood of this town. There needs to be so much more thought and consideration done to how this proposed Crossroads development will impact the day-to-day life in our town, as expressed by my neighbors earlier tonight. My friends and neighbors have expressed their safety concerns, flooding concerns, traffic concerns. The quality of life for the residents of this community needs to be considered, not just the obligation to a single developer. Deals are broken or renegotiated all the time. My neighbors and I urge this town council to return to the drawing board and work on a plan that truly considers the concerns of our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ladroff. Anybody else would like to speak? Sure. Paul, you go next. Paul is next.
Good evening, council. My name is Michael Baker, resident on Golf Court. We filed a petition this week against the project at 827. What has been talked about here this evening about the parking, we're inundated with that now every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with the participants that come to 827 using our lawns for their garbage. They choose to drink, eat, and then dispose of their garbage on our lawns. There's a parking regulation that is not enforced. They're supposed to be off our block by 9 o'clock. I'm not proposing everybody move at 9, but they're there till after midnight. They hold after parties on the street, and they use our lawns as a public toilet. The residents here that can attest to that. Putting a 5-story building on top of what's already there, when you only have 34 families that were authorized by our council in Teaneck in 1939 to put 17 families on each street, Bennett and Golf Court, to add an additional 30 families where there will be no parking for visitors. There will be not enough parking for the residents. And we also suffer power outages. Unless you're putting a generator on that building or a transformer, there's no way in the world that the power can sustain it. I know that because I work in the city and we deal with this. Everything that's going to be in that building, if you put a 5-story building up, will be electric. The homes that we're living in now, the heat is gas. Cooking is gas. Hot water is gas. Everything that you're going to put in that structure, if it's put there, is going to be electric. The grid cannot sustain it. Between November and December, we lost power 4 times. You put a building on the corner with 30 more apartments, that means we have 60 people living in a 1-block area, 60 families. It's not sustainable. We're talking about traffic. We already have the problem. You can't get in and out of that block. When they park it up, you can't get in your driveway. I've had the situation where we came home, we couldn't get in the driveway because cars parked in our driveway. When we tried to come over and ask them to have them towed, we were told, go into the bar and see if you can get the people to come out and move. That is not acceptable. And since we're suffering it right now and have been suffering it since Regina's and Zena's has been there, you put a 5-story building with 30 additional families, it is going to continue. Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much, sir. Paula.
Paula Rugovin speaking on behalf of One Town, One Vote. I agree with all of the speakers who've spoken about the Crossroads project, all the questions they've asked, all the comments they've made. We are strongly opposed to the Crossroads project. I will continue with the questions that we are asking, some of which have been discussed briefly tonight. Question number 7, have the Teaneck Police Department and Fire Department been consulted about emergency vehicle access to Building A along American Legion Drive, given that the redevelopment plan does not provide any vehicle access to Building A from American Legion Drive? Number 8, this is one that's very important to me. I live right over in the area, and I've been dealing with rail safety issues. In fact, the rail safety bill was just passed by the legislature, and I hope the governor will sign it into law. So I'm very familiar with this issue of the rail tracks. Given the fact that the developers planned remediation of the Beverly Road, water drainage problem involves installing another underground drainage pipe to run under Cedar Lane, and it will dump water out into the swale of the CSX railroad tracks. Has CSX been consulted? Has it approved? In fact, the person from Crossroads didn't even refer to CSX. They referred to Conrail. So I knew right away when he said that that hadn't talked to CSX. It has not been in Conrail's hands since 1999. It's now, since then, it has been CSX. I knew they hadn't talked. I talked to the CSX person when I was in Trenton recently. And CSX is strongly opposed to having floodwater dumped into the rail tracks. What will the town do if CSX litigates? Is there an alternative plan B to resolve that drainage problem? And neighbors in that area, they get flooded regularly. It's at the bottom of a hill. Number 9, do council members Schwartz and Organ have a conflict of interest in voting on the Crossroads redevelopment plan due to their having accepted $2,500 donation from Crossroads to their election campaign in 2024? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Isaiah Vallejo Justy, live on 16 Bennett Road in Teaneck, New Jersey. Been here since 2011 or so not so much of a long-term resident as everybody, but we've been here for a while. I'd like to speak today really in asking this council a question. Given what everybody has said here tonight, who do we really represent, right? Who's actually in favor of all these projects that are going on? You guys are supposed to represent us. And from what I'm hearing, nobody's really in favor of these things. My children go to TCCS, so I'd be very concerned about that big building going up there. My home is located around the corner from Regina's, so I'm very concerned about a building being built there. So my next question then becomes, okay, who has considered what is the effect in Teaneck of increasing its population by 10 to 15%? Because that seems to be what we're doing, right? The traffic on Cedar Lane in the morning is already horrendous. So I leave you guys, and I really want you guys to represent us. We're the ones who vote. The future residents of this town don't vote. They're not here. So you have to listen to the public, right? And what are the effects of what we're doing in this town? And while we may say, well, there's a little effect here, there's a little effect there, nobody's talking about the actual overall effect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Paul, anybody else seeing, sorry, Amrit? Anybody else in the room? Thank you, Doug, we'll go to Zoom afterwards.
Good night, New Year. Amrit Ramjatan, Teaneck resident. Green building code. I'd like for that to be added to our township code as a bare minimum environmental standard, and it's something that's for the public good. That's just fancy for it benefits everyone equally. Just as usual, build better, build smarter, build green. We have a lot of development being talked about in town, and this would alleviate some concerns of residents with regards to dust and noise and what have you. Another thing I'd like to talk about is Mikey Sherrill, our governor-elect, and her public input survey. If just as a public service announcement, just Google the public input survey by Mikey Sherrill, and the website from nj.gov will point you to it. Mention anything you'd like on it. I would just like Teaneck's input on the survey so the state, takes notice of our township. And Mr. Mayor, any follow-up or anything you can share with regards to recycling and how our taxes are being used for that service? Is it actually going towards a proper recycling service? I know this was mentioned in November. I missed the last meeting. But if you have any notes or news or anything from the grapevine, please go ahead and share. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, turn it over to you. No one else in the audience. Go ahead.
Bring in Chuck Powers.
Yes, do you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. This council tonight decided that instead of tightening up the Crossroads settlement agreement, as Councilwoman Goldberg suggested, that most of you decided that Denise Belcher was right in saying that, in fact, there were 3 more opportunities along the road to full approval for that project, at which the issues that she Goldberg was raising could legally be raised. And she is right about that. Let me tell you why I think it was a mistake not to at least amend what was being done tonight with the settlement agreement by virtue of the fact that the public could not conceivably have known what was going on. You had 5 different versions of your agenda that began last Friday morning, and you did not get the change that Mr. Salmon told you about breaking Resolution 12 into 3 resolutions. You did not actually see that in the planning board, in the agenda document until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Let's talk about the fact that it was pointed out it was important for the redevelopment plan not to be embedded in the settlement agreement. Except that if you were reading the township agenda at 4 o'clock or at 4:45, you would not have any idea that the redevelopment plan was in fact being moved. Fundamental changes about the issues which will shape the future of this town and what it's going to be like in terms of development are in an agenda that no responsible citizen, unless they were actually tracking all 5 versions of the agenda, could possibly know or advise their council people about. And I don't believe that most of the council themselves have been through all of these changes. Do we really understand what making 12 into 4 separate resolutions, which appear unannounced at the end of the document? Something has to be done about the way we form agendas and exclude the public from knowing what the heck is going on. Thank you.
We are bringing in Keith Cap.
Hello, Council. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the council. I'm here tonight to speak in part about what happened at last week's meeting. Mr. Levin and Hetty Fuchs spoke remarkably well on it, and I just wanted to add to their comments. During Good and Welfare, we heard a series of anti-Semitic and other invectives, not just criticisms of a policy, but direct attacks on people that live in this community. I'm not here to repeat those words or give them oxygen. I'm here because one honorable exception among the council, this council met that hate with silence. And I say that knowing that some of you are my friends, and I understand the instinct to remain quiet to avoid escalation. But we have to acknowledge the unintended consequence. Silence isn't neutral. It's a message. In 2013, the Australian Lieutenant General David Morrison said that the standard you walk past is the standard that you accept. And when a person stands in our chamber, the heart of our local democracy, and uses their 3 minutes to devalue any members of our community, our neighbors, and that speech goes unaddressed by our elected leaders, a new low is established in our township. And by saying nothing, you didn't starve that hate of oxygen. The conversation's still here. What happened was we gave it a vacuum to expand into. And when evil and bigoted rhetoric is met with a blank stare from our dais, the speaker doesn't leave feeling ignored. They feel emboldened. They believe their views have been tacitly tolerated, or worse, that the community's too timid and afraid to stand up to them. We don't expect the council to litigate every grievance, but I certainly would expect you to be the guardians of our civic fabric. Responding doesn't require a debate. It requires a simple, firm declaration that anti-Semitism and the hatred that spews forth from some people has no home in these chambers. Without that clear declaration, the oxygen of hate stays in this room. It settles into our seats and the floor, and it tells every family in this town that when they're targeted, their representatives will look the other way for the sake of decorum. I'm asking the council to remember that your silence is a choice. Moving forward, I hope you choose to draw the line because I know you believe in that line. Don't walk past it. Don't accept it. Don't give it oxygen, but show us that the township is a place where hate is actually called out by its name.
Thank you, sir. We are bringing in Deborah Blaberg.
Good evening, Deborah Blaber. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, miss. You have 3 minutes.
Too kind. First of all, I'm going to address, there's a address. There's going to probably be some people that are scared I actually agree with them. First of all, this development issue. All I can say is it smells of holy name. We'll negotiate later. We'll put the ordinances in. Who was the only person that really spoke up and got elected on it, much to my chagrin at that time, was Councilwoman Goldberg. And once again, she stands up and she speaks for the community. And you should listen and hear her, and the community should hear her. And yes, she is up for re-election, and I'm going to say it. And if I should have my vote, if I could vote, you all know I can't vote, so let's deal with that. Maybe I will by then. Anyway, the next part I was going to say is discussing what happened at the meeting over a month ago with, I actually was not here. I was away. I was in Israel. And I ended up coming in at the end of the meeting and seeing what went down and just hearing Ms. Goldberg's speech. So I went back and I watched the meeting and I watched what went down in public comment. And I was sick to my stomach for many reasons, for the disgusting anti-Semitism that was shown, the attack on the Holocaust. But what was other shown was a certain board member standing there once again apologizing for her anti-Semitism, having been screamed in my face by this woman telling me she's not an anti-Semite. I'm sorry, you were standing next to a truck with the non-public stuff. So if you want to really call this out, there's a board meeting tomorrow night. I suggest you attend and speak to them directly about this. Because there were two candidates there, Clara Williams and Anna Marta, and they should both be called out for this. Standing there and apologising after the fact. Absolutely despicable. And it needs to be called out. I have sat in those meetings years and listened to them talking about the community the way they do, which is why we have, sadly, a younger generation that was so easily indoctrinated to make those chants and to support this. Unbelievable. So yes, it is time to stand up and speak out. Welcome a month later. Took you a minute. I guess you've been watching my stories because there are some things that... Anyway, all I want to say is thank you, Councilwoman Goldberg, for actually speaking out for the community on so many levels. And I never in my lifetime thought I would say this. Ever. That I would be sitting here publicly thanking Councilwoman Goldberg because she has shown what a true community outreach person she is. She'll talk to anyone, regardless of what they've said about her. So you need to really listen to this woman because she really is a gem to this community and she cares about Teaneck, bizarrely. So there you go. Anyway, good evening.
Bringing in Margot Fisher.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Miss Fisher. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, great. Thank you. I also am speaking on behalf of One Town, One Vote and have the final 3 questions, I believe, that we have been asking and that have been sort of addressed, but not really fully answered. And so we want to just highlight them again. The first is that the proposed settlement agreement on the December 22nd agenda contained clauses that would have permitted Crossroads to be relieved of its public benefit obligations if it finds them economically unfeasible. These proposed benefits include storm drainage remediation, 450 garage parking spaces for the public, 15,000 square feet of public space for the farmers market, and 1,000 square feet of public interior space. And as a number of people have said tonight, no one in the public wants the Crossroads development. But if you guys do go forward with this, how are you going to make sure that these incentives are actually watertight and don't prove to be a mirage? The second question is, who authored the current version of the Crossroads redevelopment plan, and who made the revisions to it? And third, is a pilot agreement being negotiated for Crossroads? And if so, what is Crossroads asking for? So thank you. And we hope that you do continue to address these questions publicly.
Doug, we got anything else?
Thank you. We are bringing in Tikva Leitner.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Good evening, council members. I am calling to address the need for the decorum rules at council meetings. Decorum rules are about ensuring that everyone can be heard, respected, and participate safely in the democratic process. Municipalities have a legal responsibility to provide equal access to public meetings and to maintain a safe environment from harassment and threats. Without these rules, the city exposes itself to discrimination lawsuits, hostile environment claims, and federal civil rights violations. Decorum rules are content-neutral restrictions which are constitutionally protected. We can still express disagreement and even strong disagreement. We can still criticize policies and procedures, but we can't harass, threaten, or demean community members. The Supreme Court has consistently upheld reasonable decorum rules. They protect everyone's ability to participate. Without these rules, meetings can become chaotic and unproductive, and legitimate businesses can't be conducted business. And staff and council members face harassment, and we lose trust in our local government. Other municipalities have these rules, and we should maintain these professional standards. Hate speech at council meetings has real consequences. Our community members have been physically threatened, families have been doxxed after speaking, employees have quit due to harassment, and citizens have stopped participating in local democracy. So these decorum rules are about equal access, safe and productive meetings, protecting the city from legal liability, and upholding our community values. So I urge the council to adopt clear, enforceable decorum rules. Thank you.
Bringing in Rebecca Feinberg.
Good evening.
Hello, your 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Like many of the other residents of Bell Avenue, I'm here yet again to express my concerns about water and flooding. Unfortunately, the holding tanks that were put into Sagamore Park, although they've done a little bit so the flooding's not quite as bad, we're still taking on water in our basement every time there's a heavy rain. And I'm bailing out my basement still in hopes of one day not flooding every time it rains. I have very serious concerns, like many of the other residents, about how water will be diverted if this construction project goes forward. And so I thank you for hearing yet again my continued concerns about home values and just the general headache and mold and mess that we are constantly dealing with every time it rains and floods in my basement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Feinberg. I see no other hands, Mayor.
Seeing no other hands, good and welfare is closed. Before we go to the council, Mr. Attorney, were there any topics you wanted to address that were brought up tonight?
No, it's okay. I believe
Okay.
Councilwoman Belcher.
Want to give you the first right?
Yep.
Okay, Councilwoman McGover, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So intellectual disagreement is okay. Disagreement is okay. But I've witnessed betrayal of everything that I really thought we stood for together. I disagree with many people in this room, and I argue with them on a pretty regular basis. But even when we don't talk for a few days, we know that at the end of the day, we stand together at the same thing, and we're always there for each other. To everyone who spoke tonight on anti-Semitism, thank you. Thank you, Tamar, Elchanan, Emma, Heidi, Keith. As was pointed out by members of the public, the only person who spoke last meeting was myself and Keith Kaplan. I've been saying this from the day since 10/17/23 when my life shattered. I asked my colleagues before that meeting specifically not to let what happened that meeting happen. And that's why we need the decorum task force so people can come to this council and not have to have hate and understand what is said here is not okay. So I really hope that everyone on this day is reconsiders. Ignoring hate is normalizing hate. I don't know how many times I'm going to say it. And it's not international politics. It is here. And just the other day, a resident in Teaneck was called a Zionist terrorist. I'm a proud Zionist, and when you say Zionist, you mean Jew. I have been asked by members of this council to stop talking about anti-Semitism, but I'm not going to because stopping talking about it, as we've heard tonight, is dangerous. I speak at meetings all over the country and work with council members on what to do when hate comes to their chambers. So thank you again, Mayor Pagan, for your actions tonight that we had to have a person removed from chambers while we were voting on a stormwater change, ironically, tonight. We've heard, as Ms. Horowitz pointed out during elections, it is a toxic environment in Teaneck during election time. It's gone on for decades. I literally know people with PTSD from elections in Teaneck, and it's not okay. People want to serve Teaneck, but they don't want to be attacked. And no one should not want to serve their town because they're afraid of being attacked. That's not okay. So thank you for saying that. What happened during that election, I spoke up, and I don't want to call out names, but I got a text message from somebody from your organization, thanking me for calling it out, because what happened to my friend on that box truck and calling out about takeovers, that's not okay. That is anti-Semitism, and it needed to be said. So thank you. But I happen to remember one thing when Emma was speaking, that I think it was 2023. I've heard, vote for X. They represent all of Teaneck. What does it mean to serve all of Teaneck? And a wise senator once told me something that I think about every single vote and decision that I make sitting up here. Serving Teaneck means voting policy, not people. And there is not one person on this dais that I would hurt a single resident for because of that, of disagreeing with them on a personal level. When I served on the zoning subcommittee, I don't remember your name, I'm sorry, the neighbor Gulfport, I requested that Crossroads speak to the farmers market, and they did. They went from 4,000 square feet to 12,000 square feet. When Ms. Rogovan was concerned about the impact, Never Alone Again domestic violence shelter, something very important to women and families everywhere, I asked if there was a way to get community space for them, and it's there. But it's proposed. It's not mandatory. It can be negotiated. And that is why we needed to make sure that because we had to settle, we have to do this today. But we had to guarantee the people that we've been sitting here promising for years what's actually going to happen for real. And Ron, the traffic study, I asked for it, so I've seen it. It was done 3.5 years ago, and it says that the parking does not qualify to be reduced based on public transportation. So I'm really happy to answer these questions. Please pick up the phone. As far as Regina's goes, I just want to recognize the neighbors that filed the protest petitions. Last time when that was introduced, I voted no because my concerns were documented Thanksgiving weekend before, when we had the opportunity to make the changes before it was presented and it was deemed inconsistent with the master plan. And yes, I know about the community meeting. I also know that it's a township meeting, it was an organized meeting, not organized by the township. And when residents are giving two choices, it's okay, I'm going to pick. They're not looking at site plans to see distance from the house or looking at the reports that's sitting on the township website dated 2022 that's part of the Holy Names development plan that literally says that it shares a basin with Regina's. It's at 80 to 90% capacity. And if there's any more impervious coverage in that area, including Regina's, we are going to flood Country Club and Teaneck Road, literally right here. The parking spots are not even standard size. These are all things that I spent my Thanksgiving weekend to fix before it was introduced. And I was very pleasantly surprised to see former Chair Bodnar make the motion at the planning board because it was not consistent. So we have to do these things. I understand the affordable housing law, but we have to read our emails and make the changes before they get here. We are impacting people's literal lives. We are impacting the Bell Avenue neighbors' lives. I literally got a call today that said that if they were not mandatory protected, she was leaving Teaneck. I'm livid to think here. So sitting here, it means that you're serving all of Teaneck, and it means thinking about others, and it means reading and spending time away from your family to call every time it rains and make sure that the neighbors who get 4 feet of water are okay. And it means answering people when they call you and say, I need help. I want to thank Mr. Rose for coming tonight. I don't know if you saw the meeting, but at the last council meeting, 4 members of this council voted to protect a neighborhood, single family houses and businesses that are not vacant or blight. And I grew up not far from there. And in 2022, it was declared blight, as you mentioned. And 4 members of this council worked together to fix that wrong. And I was very happy to do that. And I really thought that we were at a place to work together and put personality differences aside. I am heartbroken for the Bell Avenue neighbors tonight. I will be voting no on Crossroads, and I really, really hope that Crossroads does the drainage because there's no mandatory.
Thank you very much. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. These next few months, we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about development and about taxes. I want to focus on the topic of development tonight because I remember a time when the Fair Share Housing Center would work with municipalities to find the right solution for each community when it comes to building more affordable apartments. But that's not happening anymore because the Fair Share Housing Center is strong-arming municipalities into building as many apartment buildings as possible to meet their quota, to reach a number as high as possible across the state of New Jersey. And in Teaneck, if you take into consideration round 3 and round 4 of the Fair Share Housing Settlement, you have 8 or 9 properties that will be zoned or rezoned for new apartment buildings in Teaneck. And while I support 2 or 3 of those development projects, I do not support the idea of there being 8 or 9 more new apartment buildings being constructed in Teaneck right now like they did in Hackensack. And that is due to flooding concerns that I have, the traffic concerns that I have, the infrastructure and maintenance concerns that I have, and I'm also concerned about how it will affect our schools and our sewers and our police department and our fire department, as well as our budget and our taxes, which keep creeping higher and higher, unfortunately. But also, it is important to note that a federal judge, the same judge who abolished the political party line system in New Jersey due to how unfair that party line was, will be reviewing the fair share housing process in federal court tomorrow. Now, I'm not an attorney and I don't pretend to be a legal expert on housing issues, but I do want to see what this judge says about how fair share housing is operating and what fair share housing is doing to communities like ours across the state. When building new structures that will drastically change the landscape of our hometown, we have to be very careful. We have to tread carefully, and we have to listen to our residents. We were elected to represent our residents, and the most important part of this job that we have is listening to our residents. And our residents still have a lot of questions they want answered before moving forward. And fair share housing, as well as this council, in my humble opinion, should take that into consideration before moving forward. And lastly, There's something to be said about home rule. New Jersey is a home rule state. Teaneck gets to decide what is best for Teaneck, not someone sitting in an office in Mount Laurel or Cherry Hill. So again, thank you to everyone for coming out tonight, and I hope you all have a nice evening. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Pagan. Ellie? Oh.
Sorry, I got confused about the order. Okay, so first wanted to touch on development. I am not a big fan of development that is planned, the development that was discussed today. I mentioned this the last council meeting. We have a state mandate to find affordable housing in Teaneck. We have a deadline that we had to vote on this agreement. The reason, Chuck mentioned this when he called in, the reason there were 5 versions and red line versions, we spent our holidays going back and forth, fighting for all of the things that you all mentioned today. This was not an easy process. We did not stand by and say, Crossroads, you have a blank slate. We are in a position that we do not love. Let me speak for myself. I'm in a position that I do not love. I am not happy with what has been proposed. I feel like we're being forced to make a decision with very little time because we opted into this process. So I just want to be clear on that. We fought to make sure that those development plans were not in the settlement agreement because we did not want to bind the township to any project plans without getting input from the community. We are doing everything in our power to remain compliant so that we do not lose immunity. If we lose immunities, developers can come in and build whatever they want, which is a far worse scenario. So yes, it's an important job for us to listen to residents, but it's far more important that we protect residents. And so we have to do things that maybe sound like we're not listening, but it's not that. We're really trying to make sure that we're protecting the residents while we also protect the township. Again, I do not like this development. Isaiah was here. Our kids go to school together. Do you think I want to drive through a hectic, multi-building, high-rise area to get my kid at school every day? No, of course not. So I just want to be clear, like this is not perfect. We know it's not. But there are other things at play that I feel like we need to call out. Second, I want to discuss all the folks who called in about the meeting last week. I want to say very clearly and explicitly that I condemn all forms of hate, anti-Semitism, racism. I wish there was a better way that we could call it out live when these things happen. It really is unfortunate that occurred last week. So I just wanted to just say that unequivocally. The second thing, though, I want to call out is I do not want us to get to a place where we play the oppression Olympics and we call out if this had been another race or if this had been another person, then the reaction would have been different. I don't think that's a fair thing to do. There are people who called in today who have said things like Jihadi Jane, who have called family members of people on this day as QAnon, who have said horrible things about us, who called in today, and yet now all of a sudden it's, none of us, we're all quiet. We don't care about, forms of oppression. It's not true. So I just want to, I want us to not do that. I want us to all agree that we care about all people in Teaneck, and not play the oppression Olympics game. That is not the case. The person who compared MLK to the monument was always meant to be a multicultural monument. To compare that to MLK, it's 2 completely different things. Of course, the Holocaust is important. Of course, the memorial is important for Teaneck. What we spoke out against at the last meeting was doing them one and not all together because it was meant to be a joint project initially. Of course, we want to see that project get done, but the key was that we wanted to see it get done together. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Belcher.
I want to thank my neighbors for coming out and sharing tonight. I know that this has been a very challenging time. It has this affordable housing round 4 has been extremely challenging, and I speak from the standpoint of chairing the affordable housing subcommittee, from the standpoint of being on the zoning subcommittee, from the standpoint of being just teaching real estate. All those things has been really extremely challenging we were at a stalemate. We were literally at a stalemate. If you were to have been a fly on the wall, we were all kind of like going in different directions. And one of the things that I suggested, I says, well, you know what, I always believe just, you know, the best way to address things is to sit at a table and talk to people. So I volunteered on my, to talk to Fair Share Housing attorney, and it turned out that the court's judge was there, and we had an opportunity to really iron out a few things, and we came to some type of an agreement. And I can tell you that a lot of eyes are on TNEC and a lot of eyes are on development, and we 100%, each one of us spent an extreme amount of time over the past month talking to our attorneys and making sure that every single line, every single word was reviewed. And I say that tonight because tonight is about a settlement agreement. It's not about a development agreement, redevelopment agreement. It's not about a redevelopment plan, a site plan, or any of those things. But I understand the passion within the community, so much so that when One Town, One Vote sent out those questions, and which I immediately read, I went to our attorneys and I said, hey guys, answer their questions. And I want to take the time, and I got permission from them to read their response. So starting with question number 1, why has the town not done its independent traffic study as required by the 2023 settlement agreement with Crossroads? Their answer: Crossroads has a requirement in the settlement agreement to prepare a traffic study prior to adoption of a redevelopment plan. As an extra step, the township will conduct its own independent review of Crossroads traffic study. Number 2, what problems did Stop and Shop have with the 2 traffic studies that the developer says it turned over to them? Answer: the township has no knowledge of any problems from Stop and Shop. 3, why have the traffic studies done by the developer not been turned over to the TNEC Council and the TNEC public for review? Answer: Crossroads and Stop and Shop are reviewing a draft study, and it will be shared with the township once it is finished. 4, why have the noise and utility studies have not been done, rather, and turned over to the council and the public as required by the 2023 settlement agreement? Answer: a Crossroads is required to submit a utility study and sound investigation as part of a site plan application, which will come after the redevelopment plan adoption and redevelopment agreement. 5, the developer has indicated that the Buddhist Center still has 5 years left on its lease. What happens if the Buddhist Center refuses to move to Beverly Road as required by the redevelopment plan? Answer: this is a private landlord-tenant matter between the Buddhist Center and Crossroads, and the township is not involved in these discussions. Number 6, will there be sufficient space for the farmers market? Who at the farmers market rather has approved this plan, if anyone? Answer: the contemplated project includes a plaza that can accommodate about 30 vendors for a farmers market. 7, have the TNEC Police Department and Fire Department been consulted about the emergency vehicle access to Building A along American Legion Drive, given that the redevelopment plan does not provide any vehicle access to Building A from American Legion Drive? Answer: emergency services will review any plans as a part of a site plan application. The redevelopment plan does not include this level of detail. A proposed development in the township must be up to code. Number 8, given the fact that the developer's plan remediation of the Beverly Road water drainage problem involves installing another underground drainage pipe to run under Cedar Lane and dump water into swale at the CSX railroad tracks. Has CSX been consulted and has it been approved? To the best of our knowledge, CSX was strongly opposed. What will the town do if they litigate? Is there an alternate plan B to resolve the drainage problem? Answer: Crossroads engineers are engaged directly with township engineers to find the best solution for upgraded drainage infrastructure. Any necessary stakeholders, including CSX, will be consulted for permits, for approvals, if required, to the extent additional rights or approvals are required to upgrade the township sewers. Number 9, do council members Schwartz and Organ have a conflict of interest in voting on the Crossroads redevelopment plan prior to accepting a $2,500 donation from Crossroads to their election campaign in 2024? His answer is no. Why does the number 10, why does the current proposed settlement agreement contain clauses that will permit Crossroads to be relieved of its public benefit obligations, storm drainage remediation, 450 garage parking spaces for the public, 15,000 square feet of public space for the farmers market, and 1,000 feet of public interior space if it finds them economically unfeasible? Are these incentives to gain approval really a mirage? Answer: the purpose of the settlement agreement is to resolve affordable housing litigation with Crossroads. All required on-site and off-site project components and public benefits are included in the redevelopment plan. Number 11, who is the author of the current version of Crossroads redevelopment plan and who changed it? Answer: Topology drafted the current draft of the redevelopment plan. Crossroads and Stop and Shop have provided comments and input on Topology's draft plan. Lastly, number 12, is a pilot agreement being negotiated? If so, what is Crossroads asking the town for? Answer: the developer has not applied for a pilot, nor is there an obligation to grant a pilot. Those are the answers from our attorneys to the questions from One Town, One Vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Organ.
A township attorney, can you just give more than a one-word answer about the $2,500 and Mayor Schwartz and I participating in a vote?
Sure. So the local government ethics law and the state's pay-to-play laws allow you to receive donations from like from people like developers and other things like that. There's no requirement that you financially recuse yourself unless you are personally benefiting financially or you have a financial stake in it. I mean, on a personal level, not based on a campaign or anything like that. It just doesn't cover anything like that. And plus, as well as the fact that this is an open vote as well. It's not like a non-fair and open public contract, which you wouldn't be able to vote on. So there's no requirement that you recuse yourself.
Okay, and just to everybody in the public, the easiest thing the two of us could do right now is say that we have to recuse ourselves on this and not be involved in it, and not do anything that people don't care for right now. So understand that we're taking this very seriously, and to put it into perspective, just looking at ELEC reports, I believe One Town, One Vote donated $1,000 to the campaign of 3 people up here, as did Dr. Powers. So when it comes time to for a campaign, people do get campaign contributions, but saying that anybody up here would vote one way or another because of that is disrespectful to 5 people sitting on this dais right now, and that's not the case. To Mr. Baker, I don't know if you were at the meeting that we had here that Mayor Schwartz and Deputy Mayor Belcher and I were at with the residents who live near 827 Teaneck Road. We were here with the developer at that time, and the number one complaint that people had was about living near a club. And I understand what you're saying about your lawn being used as a toilet. We heard that more than once. We heard that people found plates with chicken bones on their front lawns, parking all into the night. And that's what happens when you live near a club and a restaurant. But the building is not going on top of that, it's going in place of that. So instead of people up all night, you will have people hopefully tucked into their beds in their apartments at night. And I hope for the people that live there, once the restaurant or the club is not there anymore, it will be a much quieter existence for you. As far as the farmers market goes, we spoke to Cedar Lane Management Group. They're thrilled. They have now 12,000 square feet of space, but also they have an underground covered garage for when the weather is bad. So they're the ones who bring us the farmers market. They're actually very happy about that. Regarding the speaker at the last meeting, I thank everybody who came out and spoke from the heart tonight. I know most were called out by name, and Mr. Levin wasn't, so thank you for your words as well. I think I missed the boat on that, and you know, things happen in here, but something like that should absolutely be shocking and should not be okay. And I think it's the job of all of us to call out hate against everyone. I do agree that had there been a different demographic, the outcry, the outpouring would have been, no, Oppression Olympics is not a thing. I think the outpouring would have been greater and stronger. And so I'm sorry that I didn't bring it up at the time. I think his words were horrible. There were American flags at a protest. I think it probably had something to do with the person who brought him here and how tuned out we are to his words because they come at us week after week after week. But I should have said something, and I think everybody up here should have said something. It should never be okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll make my comments brief. Mr. Rose, your comments about my councilmates, the insulting comments about how they didn't read any of the agendas, everyone did on this council forever, but especially over the holiday period, and even more so, both our attorneys, with all due respect, I don't want to talk to them again for a while. And just every single word. Everyone on this council has lived and breathed these agreements. To sit here and demean them, it's beneath you. I've known you for so many years. That's not the way you ever speak, and I appreciate if that's not the way you ever speak again from that podium. As it relates to the Alanis Morissette, the irony about Mr. Fulop, who I personally like, was he was actually a yeshiva student running for governor and refused to give his support to the IRA bill. But now all of a sudden, when he's not running for any election, when he's left to go work for the partnership in New York City, in the largest Jewish community in the world outside of Israel, all of a sudden, he's the savior of the Jewish people. And that's what we're being compared to on that council. I don't buy that. I'm here to focus on Teaneck. What was said was horrible. I'm sorry we're almost like desensationalized, but the individual that comes and speaks every meeting, and we're all thankful he's not here tonight. Someone should have said something. I'm in favor of all our monuments that we're making, especially a Holocaust memorial, because it's clear that people need those memorials. Omrit Recycling, I think the manager had mentioned that there's a presentation by our DPW head at the next meeting, so I look forward to seeing you there. As it relates to 827 Teaneck Road, just a correction, it's not 30 families, it's 20 families, approximately 60 people. As Deputy Mayor Organ said, it's not being built on top of Regina's. There will be no Regina's. There will be no chicken bones and plates left on people's lawns, and all the other comments of the discussing this left. Most importantly, please, if you see any violations by the Regina patrons, please call the police department. They will come over there. If not, please call me. I love to ticket and have people ticket and towed. I've towed my neighbors. I'll ticket my mother if I could. 917-902-9303. I will be there. We will call the police together. Please call me. Glad to meet you there, especially late at night. Love coming out and watching this. And with that, I appreciate everyone on council's comments, and I look forward to continuing the rest of the meeting. So, Mr. Clerk, Ms. Clerk, if we can take that away with the next steps.
were you doing like the appointing mesos? Okay, so we have 2 raffles, 5 sets of minutes, resolutions number 2-2026 to 37-2026, and a bill list of $2,364,108.17. Resolution 36-2026 is the Martin Luther King Jr. Day resolution, and then 37-2026 is the Muslim Heritage Month resolution.
Mr. Mayor, oh, sorry, I want to,
Sorry,
Sorry.
Mr. Councilman Katz.
I'm sorry, I just have a question for the attorney on 12/2026. There are some in there that I can't vote on.
Yeah, so 12/2026 is the one that we're gonna ask you guys to poll, and then either you can vote down or table, it doesn't really matter. And then
And it's broken up into
that,
pieces.
yeah,
inside.
and
I
it's
see that
32
inside.
through 35.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm-
so actually, I'm sorry to cut you off, Councilman Katz. Actually, Mayor, if we could, at the point here of our consent agenda, just all agree to pull 12.
I'll make a motion to pull 12.
Okay.
Second and roll call,
No.
please. We need, a second.
Yeah.
Let's pull that, then we'll go back to you.
Okay, yes.
Roll call, Ms. Clerk?
Yeah. 12.
Councilman Goldberg,
yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Abstain.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Can someone just explain what 14/2026 is? What is 14/2026?
This is an annual requirement that the township has to do. It's designating our PACO, AKA the Public Agency Compliance Officer. This goes to our purchasing agent every year to assure
Okay.
that we are purchasing compliantly.
Sounds good.
Deputy Mayor Katz, I had the same confusion. I thought it was the thing that we've been discussing for a few years. Yeah.
Thank you.
Harassment officer? How to say it, how to say it, how to say it. Okay, was there anything else, Mr. Katz, before we go, Ms. Goldberg?
Can you just tell me which ones from 30, 32, 33, 34, 35 I have to abstain from? Obviously
33 you need to abstain on. And that-
33, and
and
what
that
is
is
Hill,
false.
but what about Hill Street?
What's 32 Hill Street?
No.
30, well,
If I can, Ellie, the properties are Resolution 11, 32, 33, 34, and 35.
the 11 you're okay on, 34 you're okay on. Vision
33, and 35, yes.
32 you need to abstain on.
Yeah.
33 you need to abstain on. And 35 is which one is 35? It's 54 West Nagwood.
So
So it's
abstaining on that.
32, 33, and 35 you need
Okay.
to abstain on.
All right, thank you. Thank you
you
for
very
the
much.
clarification.
Okay, Councilman Goldberg.
I wanted to pull, okay, I don't know why they're not labeled right for the resolutions, but the Board of Adjustment, Mark Mermelstein, and then the alternate 1, 2, 3, and 4 I wanted to pull, and also
So
I
let's label that for a second.
right, but they're labeled as numbers, not resolution numbers, so I wasn't sure why.
I did that on purpose just because we were adding so many things last minute to the resolutions. I didn't know
So-
where those would
So
be.
we're-
Okay, so 6,
Six.
9, 10, 11, 12, and 9.
6, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Oh, sorry, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 9-2026.
Hold on a second.
9.
And 9. Okay,
Wait, I'm sorry.
9-20, we're going over 9-2026.
No, it was, I think she's talking about.
No, she's pulling 9-2026.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Then go into your numbers only sequence, 6, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Understood.
Is that correct? Okay, is there anyone else before I request a motion to extend the meeting? I'll make a motion to extend the meeting by 30
Second.
minutes. Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, is anyone else that needs to be pulled before we start? We're pulled, okay, with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to approve everything in the bill list that was not pulled. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Belcher. Ms. Clerk?
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Abstain because I didn't have time to review it fully.
Councilman Pagan,
I have a couple of no's, so please bear with me, Kristen. I am a no on number 9.
9's been pulled.
Hold.
Oh, sorry about. I'm a no on number 11. I am abstaining on number 33. I am a no on 34. I am a no on 35. And a yes on the rest.
So I'm so sorry. Was that a no for 33 through 35?
A
Forgive me.
no, a yes on 32. Abstaining on 33.
Yes, sir.
No on 34.
Yes,
and no on
sir.
35.
Yes, sir. Sorry about
No,
that.
that's all good. Thank you, Doug.
Okay.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Abstention on the bill list and an abstention on, and tell me if any of these have been pulled. 31, 2026, 32, 2026, 33, 2026, 35, 2026, and 11.
You said 31,
30.
31, 32, 33, 35.
31, 32, 33, 35, Miss Chris.
And
number 11.
11. Okay. Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ, yes. Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Okay, now we're gonna go to, we'll start in order. Number 9 was pulled. Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the council for doing this. This is very special to me, and I actually heard from Aviva Feldman. So Rabbi Feldman is one of the older, he passed away a long time ago, and I saw this, I didn't know it was coming for this agenda, and she didn't know, so I reached out to her to let her know, and I just wanted to publicly acknowledge her and thank for that, and really just a thank you to Aviva. Sorry, I was really just a thank you. You know, you talk about uniting Teaneck, he did a lot, so I wanted to move this very proudly.
Second
Second.
Schwartz, second Katz.
Oh, no, I yield to the mayor.
Okay, second Schwartz, roll call, Ms. Clerk.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Absolutely, yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ, yes. Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Okay, after that, the next poll is, I apologize, it's gonna be,
Number.
it's gonna be the numbers, if I'm correct?
Yep.
We're going number 6, we're gonna be, number 6 is the next poll.
So if we recall, so in February 11, 2025, the council passed resolution 82, 2025, requiring compliance with financial disclosure statement filing for appointments and reappointments. And if you recall, you made it effective January 1st, 2026. So it's now effective. And Mr. Mermelstein has publicly not filed his financial disclosure statement 8 times publicly, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. He did file in 23 and 25. So I would just like to say, I think that this is against the resolution that Mr. Mayor, you actually amended.
Please confirm what you're saying. So he's filed the last 2 years that he's been on.
Right,
not
but the resolution said 3 times and we're not appointing them. So he didn't file 8 times. So
4, but he's now in compliance.
it's not what, no, it's not. It's not what the resolution says. It's 3 times.
And then he's permanently banned for life?
Yes, that's what it says.
Okay.
Point of information.
Mhm.
Sorry, completely unrelated to this. This is really a question for Doug. So when I go through my records, I have that he took Jerry Barta's seat, which expired 12/31/25. So that's why I was confused as to. Oh, no, so that is correct, right? So then
Sure.
that's why we had to nominate him again?
Sure.
Okay, sorry. Never mind.
Okay.
So I'm going to be voting no on that reason, but I don't know how everyone else is going to do it. But if he doesn't pass, I would like to move up everyone, including, and that would make Muyas, Elias, the full member, and I think that would be
Okay.
great. And then to move anyone.
So on to number 6.
So
You're
that
on
would be,
6. We're
but
talking about
I'm
6.
just saying,
We're focusing on 6. There's no vote yet. So
okay,
you're not making the motion.
now I'm making the motion.
You're not, you are, you're not.
I'm making the motion.
Okay, second
Six.
Schwartz, roll call, Ms. Clerk.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Absolutely not.
Councilman Pagan,
No.
Councilwoman G,
Sorry, clarifying question. Did he submit his financials this last year?
Yes.
He did. Okay, yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Okay, so he's not compliant based upon the fact that he has not?
No, he was not in the past. He's compliant now. What Ms. Goldberg's saying, because years ago he wasn't compliant 3 times, I guess is a third strike and you're out for life is what her.
Okay, so you know my position on serving on boards in our town is that number one, you show up, meaning you attendance, and number two, you're compliant.
He was
So my
he was
question,
compliant in 25 and 23 before he was kicked off. It was years before 23 he wasn't. That's what she's bringing up.
He was not compliant in the past.
Sorry.
He's been compliant his last.
He was, just to clarify, he was reappointed on February 11, 2025. So he's only started reserving less than a year ago.
so he's really
He's
just been
been-
compliant this year.
Yeah.
Okay. If he's compliant, then I vote yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Councilwoman Goldberg, number 9.
I'm moving it. I was kind of hoping that we would get the,
Second Schwartz. Ms. Goldberg, Ms. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Goldberg, yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
I move the rest.
Number 10. Moved it. Second Schwartz. Ms. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes to all except for 11. I'm a no on 11.
We're number 10. So you moving all?
I moved them all.
Oh, move, excellent. Thank you. Number 10, 11, and 12.
No,
Mr. Katz.
like,
you
yes
said
on
number
10 and
11.
12, no on 11.
Councilman Pagan,
I'm a yes on 10, a no on 11, and a yes on 12.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz,
Yes, with the abstention of my number 11.
Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes. Okay, and on that, we'll go to introductions of
I abstain on
ordinances.
this, yeah. I do for this one.
All right, so we have 3 ordinances up for adoption tonight. We have ordinance 1-2026, establishing certain recovery of fire department related costs and expenses. Number 2-2026, amending the township code to revise parking at the municipal building parking lot. And number 3-2026, amending the enforcement duties of the fire department.
Thank you very much. I'll make a motion to introduce ordinances 1, 2, and 3 of
Second.
2026, seconded by Pagan. Roll call, Ms. Clerk.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes for introduction only.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes.
Councilwoman G,
Yes.
Councilman Katz, Deputy Mayor Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Organ,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes to all. I'd like to see a motion to adjournment.
Second.
So moved. Have a good evening.
Adjournment at 11:02 p.m.
47.
Stop, you don't vote.
You have to give numbers to the other residents. Online. What do you mean? Which one?